But it sounds like he's somewhere east of me, which would suggest somewhere possibly Rotterdam or somewhere like that.
I'll start by asking.
Actually, do you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, I mean,
because you're not my audience doesn't know you, so.
Okay, my username is Indio 7. I've been debating this topic, Flat Earth. I run the 24/7 Flat Earth Discord for about 8 years now. We have about close to 30,000 members. This is actually the second iteration. There was a previous one with about 32,000 members. Yeah, I'm well versed in this topic. I probably debated maybe, I don't know, it's got to be close to 10,000 people at least. Yeah, so I guess that's my background in this.
Yeah, 1 sec. It sounds like you're kind of quiet on mine, so let me turn you up a bit.
Yeah, I mean,
no, it's fine. It's just audio issues. There are always audio issues, and I can actually turn you up on Discord as well. Okay, I think we're good to go. So you think the Earth is flat then, yeah?
I would say I know it's flat.
And just as I mean, I'm sure that you know my model. I think that the Earth is not flat. I think that it's quite fairly spherical. What would you say that you have a model that you subscribe to?
No particular model. I mean, when you say model, what do you mean by that?
I mean, some particular
model for phenomenon, or
like a framework, like a mental framework that you use to understand like the shape. Like, do you have an idea as to like where the sun and moon are, or like what happens if you go up high enough? And like, do you have a model that can answer these questions?
Okay, so what the sun and moon are?
Yeah,
I'm not exactly sure what that has to do with flat Earth.
Well, I mean, like it's all part of the cosmology, presumably, right?
Yeah, they exist. Certainly, we see them.
Sorry, I don't mean like what they are doing. What are they doing?
Well,
I mean, that they're doing what they're doing. Those kinds of things,
Okay, you're asking about phenomenon, right? Mm-hmm. About the celestial bodies. Yep. Which does not determine what the Earth is. It's not even possible. It just as a matter of logic, it's not possible.
I understand that. I'm asking to try to get a feel for what your worldview is, because maybe it was like, well, the Earth is flat, and I don't know anything else, and like, fine, I guess. But I wasn't sure if you have more.
No, that's not right. Yeah. So my viewpoint is, it would probably be more like the viewpoint of the ancients, where let me start here. So a couple things about celestial bodies, right? So if you look at the sun, you can't look at the sun and say, measure its distance by simply looking at it, right? There's even in the astronomical journals like Astronomical Leaf of the Pacific says you can't measure the distance of the sun using just the sun because there's no measurable solar parallax. So using a typical method like parallax, right? Parallax method of figuring out how far something is away, you can't get the distance of the sun. And this applies to every celestial body, that you can't just simply look at it and do a naive observation and say, hey, that's this far away. So the ancients knew this, and their I guess you call it their paradigm was that the rules that apply to things in heaven and the rules that apply to things in the earth are not the same. They didn't take the uniformitarian view that everything was uniform, right? They considered the earth is unique and the things in the sky were the things in the sky, and they weren't separate. And this matches what we observe in reality. It seems that the rules of things in the sky don't match what's on the ground.
Sure.
Right? We can easily triangulate how far a house is away or a building. It is, because you're talking about the sun and the moon, right? You asked where they are. How do I determine where they are?
I didn't ask how did you determine where they are. I just want to establish what you believe.
How would I get a distance then?
Maybe your answer is I don't have one. I'm just trying to figure out what it is you believe.
Well, nobody has one.
That's cool. We can talk about that. I just want to know what you believe. And if you want to say I don't have a distance under my worldview, that's fine. I just need to establish what you believe so I can know what who I'm talking to.
Okay, so I thought I explained it well.
I mean, you were getting into
the paradigm under which I'm operating. The paradigm which, well, you asked what the sun, moon, and distance was, right?
I asked, like, where are they? What are they doing? How are they doing what they're doing?
Does that mean?
But where under your worldview?
Okay, where they are is a distance, right?
Well, I mean, you could say that they're beneath the firmament. You could say that they're above the firmament. You could say that they're embedded in the firmament.
Who said I believe in a firmament?
That's why I'm asking. That's why I'm asking. I'm trying to establish what it is you believe.
Okay, well, I'm trying to explain it to you. So when you say where is it, I have an observer-centric worldview. Okay, just like we experience reality, we observe it from our eyes, right? First-person shooter, not a third-person shooter. So when you ask me where it is, to me, you're asking me what's the distance? Where is it in 3D space relative to my location?
It can be more vague than that. Where is it? You could just say that it's, if you believed in a firmament, you could just say it's above the firmament. For example, maybe you don't, but that's the kind of, I wasn't looking for a direct, I wasn't looking for an exact distance. I wasn't looking for certainty. I was just looking for what it is your position is.
Okay.
If your position is we have no way of establishing that, fine. That's all you have to say.
That is my position.
Okay.
Immeasurable.
So do you have any way of understanding the motions of the celestial bodies?
Well, we just, take your pick of models, right? We have several models. We got the Ptolemaic model. We got the Copernican model. We got the Kepler's model. We have Tycho Brahe's model. So we have a bunch of models to position them where we see where they are and predict where they'll be at some future date. But as to the true causes, as Copernicus said, these can never be attained. And why they're doing what they're doing, or we can only describe them.
So under your worldview, and look, I'm just trying to establish what your worldview is. If I'm strawmanning you, please correct me. Under your worldview, these are just fundamentally unknowable.
we can plot where they are, and we can use a bunch of different models to do this. But I don't reify models and say that the models are physically real. That's fallacious.
I'm not asking for saying that a model is physically real. I'm asking, are you able to explain the motions with a mechanism, with some sort of physical mechanism? Like when I push on a block, the reason, if a block is on a hill and I'm pushing on it, the reason why it moves up is because, I'm applying a force to it. That is the mechanism. There's a force.
Well, that's a tautology.
Well, the point is I'm asking for some
That's
sort
a tautology, though. But saying it moves because you apply a force, that means the same thing.
No, it doesn't. That's a mechanism.
Okay.
In principle, you could have, if you didn't know anything, you could have things moving without forces.
Is force a concept?
Sure. It's a concept that we use to describe
a physical phenomenon. What physical phenomena?
It's a very broad physical phenomenon. Essentially, the set of physical phenomena that can cause motion. They don't have to, but that can cause motion.
Okay. Does a force exist if there's no motion?
Does a force? It can. Yeah.
In what way? In what way would it exist? How would you measure the force that exists with no motion?
You can measure it with springs, for example.
Okay, so if the spring doesn't move, it's in motion?
The spring can be stationary and be measuring a force. That's like the springs in a scale, like that when you're standing in a scale in the bathroom, those springs are stationary and they're measuring a force. But you're
measuring the displacement of a spring, right? That's what you're measuring, displacement of a spring? Okay.
Yeah.
But when the spring is not moving, you are saying, if there was nothing on here, there would be a motion, right? The spring would expand or contract or do something, right?
Yeah,
that's why saying a motion, forces cause motion, it's a tautology because that's what a force is, right? It's a change.
Well, forces don't have to cause motion. That's the point. Forces are things that can cause motion.
It's defined that way.
Forces are perhaps defined as that which can cause motion.
In physics, they're defined. It isn't. There is no qualifier.
No, I mean forces don't have to cause motion. Not all forces cause motion. For example, if you have two forces that are opposing each other, then you have no motion. I don't think.
Yeah, there's no quote unquote net force, right? That's what they say. There's no net force.
Yeah, that's what we would say when there's.
Why is there no net force?
Because there's no motion. To give you zero.
Yeah, because there's no motion.
I think that you're getting it backwards. We say that there's no net force, and it's as a result of there being no net force that we have no motion.
Okay. Is no net force a force?
Just to be clear, do you not think that the notion of force is useful?
You're going to tell me zero pressure is a pressure?
Just to be clear, are you going to tell me that the notion of force is not useful, that it's not useful?
No, that's a different argument. Utility is a different argument.
Well, I mean, we're talking about explanations for things. How do you provide an explanation?
These aren't explanations. These are descriptions.
Okay, what do you qualify as an explanation then?
Okay, so an explanation. So a description would be.
I didn't ask what a description is. I asked what an explanation is.
I'm going to give you examples.
I don't want examples. I want a definition.
A definition of description? Do you want like a dictionary definition?
I want a definition of explanation as you're using it, in the sense that forces aren't good explanations.
Explanation is the how and the why of why something happens. So you observe a phenomenon and you can describe it, right? What you're actually seeing, what it actually does.
Yeah.
And the explanation is why that happens, right?
So explanations are whys, not hows, in your worldview?
Well, no, the description would be, yes, how would be an explanation.
Okay. So if I gave an explanation of how something happens using the language of, say, forces, or,
a description of how something happens?
Or, if I gave a description of how something happens, the language of those things, well, how something happens, you said.
You went back to description. You're going to bounce back and forth.
Wait, so
this is common that you guys bounce back and forth.
Indio.
You guys bounce back and forth between description and explanation and try to use them interchangeably.
Indio,
I'm not confused.
You said an explanation. Your definition of explanation was.
I haven't insulted you yet, but I can stop.
Indio, your definition of explanation was a description of how something works.
It was a description?
If I remember correctly, that's what you said. What was the phrasing that you used?
No, a description would just be a straight observation in describing how it just appears to the senses.
Okay.
Whereas an explanation is the abstract idea, like a mental model of like the how and why that happens.
So,
right. So we can have a bunch of explanations. If I drop something, here's one explanation. Mass attracts mass. Here's another. Magic elves with magic rubber bands. Here's another. My mental powers project telemetric freaking forces. Like I can come up with all sorts of explanations as to the description.
Yeah, and how do we determine which explanation is the most likely to be correct?
What do you mean most likely? That's a no. Okay, most likely is a probabilistic statement.
Yeah, and so can you answer the question? How do we figure out which explanation is most likely to be correct?
That's subjective, isn't it?
It doesn't have to be. No, you can use like Bayes law, or Bayes formula rather.
Okay, you can great. Use Bayes theorem to.
It doesn't have to be subjective.
Get some confidence level that your explanation is correct, but you don't actually know anything, do you?
That's why I asked. How do we figure out which explanation is most likely to be correct?
The one that makes you feel good. Whatever you subjectively feel like is the most correct one.
Okay, so your view of explanations towards physical phenomena is based off of what makes you feel good?
Well, no, that's yours. That's your criteria, not mine. That's your criteria, though. Your criteria is what you think is most likely.
I'm sorry, are we reading minds now? Because that was what you said, not what I said.
No. You said explanations should describe what is most likely, right? Should tell you why something happened.
I didn't actually give a definition of explanation. I was using your definition of explanation.
And tell me what you said.
I asked you how do you establish which explanation is most likely to be correct, given your definition of explanation. Oh, you can't. So there's no way to figure out which explanations are good and which are not good.
Well, I mean, that's subjective.
So if I said,
let me give you an example, a specific example. There was the epicycle model of astronomy. There was hold on, dude. No, stop. You're not going to steamroll me. So there was the epicycle model of astronomy, and there was the Keplerian model of astronomy, right? Why did we abandon one for the other? It wasn't accuracy.
It was simplicity.
That wasn't the reason either.
I mean, that seems like a good enough reason to me. Do you know the historical reason? Is there some historical reason?
Yeah, actually, there is a historical reason. There was one guy that didn't like the idea because, there was a guy. So this was in medieval Europe, and I don't remember the guy's name off the top of my head. He preferred the Keplerian model because it gave some sort of hypothesis, right? It gave some sort of hypothesis, explanation as to why things happened. Whereas the epicycle model, though it gave right predictions, there was no explanation for it. He preferred a hypothesis, and people in Europe adopted this view. We prefer the explanation, but this is just subjective.
Well, so do you?
This is just a subjective preference.
So the epicycle doesn't provide an explanation. The Keplerian model does. So if your goal is to find explanations for things, then you would want to investigate the thing that presents an explanation, right?
Okay, so you have an explanation now. What, you feel better?
Well, then you can check to see if it's a good explanation or not. You don't seem to think that that's possible, though, right?
No, no. I'm saying the evaluation is subjective. Are you not understanding that?
So, I mean, in some sense, like the entirety of human experience is subjective. But like we can set that aside and we can do our best to do objective science, right? Unless you don't think that science is a valuable method.
See, you're trying to conflate two things. Science is useful. Science is valuable. Science pragmatically does useful things for us. That doesn't mean the scientific concepts are true.
Indio. So the scientific method is you make an observation. This celestial things move in a certain way, right?
Okay.
Then you form a hypothesis. A hypothesis is a potential explanation for your observation, right? Now, that hypothesis is going to have implications if the hypothesis is correct, if it is the correct or true explanation of whatever it is you're observing. And so then that hypothesis will make predictions based on those implications. And then you can go check if those predictions come true. If so, that is, at least in the Bayesian sense, evidence that your hypothesis was a correct explanation.
Okay. Congratulations. You insert... No, I agree with all that, but it's logically fallacious as it affirms the consequent.
Yeah, so science is based on induction, not on deduction. So do you just
are you saying you can't prove anything?
So science is not in the business of proof, it's in the business of evidence.
Okay, so you're in the business, not in the business of proof, you're in the business of evidence, but then what good are the explanations?
The explanation,
is the explanation the evidence? Is the explanation the evidence?
No, the experiments and the observations are.
Okay, so we don't even need the explanations to do science, we only need the experiments.
No, the explanations are the goal of the science bit. The experiments don't provide you with any understanding.
Science was the observation, so we don't need the explanation.
I didn't say science was the observation.
Yes, you did.
I said the scientific method involves 4 steps. The first step is observation. The second step is forming a hypothesis. The third step is testing your hypothesis. The fourth step is analyzing the result of your test.
Great. And then you spit out an explanation. Go, I affirm the consequent because I used inductive logic, and I don't actually know anything because someone else can come along and come up with a different So what?
So
that's an pure probability fallacy.
Do you reject Bayesian reasoning?
No, it's useful, but you still don't know anything because it's an appeal to probability.
Okay, well, look, if you're going to come on here and just say, well, we can't actually use Bayesian reasoning to try to come to any conclusions, to come to the best explanation of the data. If that's your view, then you're just not.
You can't use Bayesian probability to reach the best explanation. That's a circular reasoning.
I'm sorry. What do you think Bayesian reasoning does?
Does it give you a probability?
Yeah, it gives you a probability, or rather, perhaps.
What does a probability say?
A probability is, I mean, it depends on your.
Is likely or not likely a probability? Okay, is likely or not likely a probability statement?
Yeah.
Okay, that's circular reasoning. You use Bayesian reasoning because you used Bayesian reasoning to justify finding what is likely or not. That's a circle.
No, Bayesian reasoning is how you determine what is likely.
Yeah, I know it's the methodology. Okay.
Right. So where's the circle?
Oh my God, dude. Okay, I just explained it. Why don't you explain it again?
Yeah. So can you point out the thing that I have to assume to get to Bayesian reasoning?
That Bayesian reasoning is useful because it tells you what's likely. Well, I think you went further than that. So you're using what's called an appeal to probability. Great. You have a thing which you can tell yourself, well, this is more likely than not. Mm-hmm. Congratulations.
Yep.
You don't know that. You just believe that.
What do you mean by no? I'm not an absolutist when it comes to truth. Are you?
Okay. So okay.
Where'd he go? Where'd he go?
He might have dropped out for a second. I'm sure he'll be back in just a second.
Okay. In the meantime, how are things going, DJ?
Good. Yep, hope's all well with everyone. So, yeah, we're about 20 minutes in so far. So what do you think after the first hour is up? How about, would you guys we could get some people to ask you guys questions from the audience, one globe question, one flat question.
Sorry, DJ, someone kicked me or something.
Oh, you're right. Okay, that's interesting.
I mean, after the first hour, if there are any other, I don't know, big name flat earthers that want to come up and do another 30, 40 minutes, I think that'd probably be better / more interesting than just answering questions.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
If possible, if that's available.
Okay, so
however long. Go ahead.
Can I finish what I was saying? Okay, thank you. So if you're saying you're not an absolutist and you can't know anything, why are you trying to convince people of something you're not positive about? Why should they follow you into your uncertainty?
Just to be clear, are you an absolutist about truth?
Yes.
About knowledge?
There is absolute truth. That's right.
Okay, so how do you know that you're anything more than a brain and a bat?
I don't start from the presupposition of the internal world. Okay, I start from the presupposition of the external world. Has primacy.
Okay, how
Your
do
brain
you
is
justify that?
contaminated by the cards.
And so that's just a belief without justification then, right?
Okay, no, it's not a belief without justification.
What's the justification?
You're talking to me right now. Are you talking to yourself?
I'm not an absolutist about truth. You are. So
Are you
you're the
talking
one
to
that has to
yourself
provide
right
it.
now?
So you have to provide a justification.
I am not talking to myself. You're correct. There's an external world, and I'm not talking because you're asking me a question.
How do you know it's not illusion?
Am I interrogating myself right now?
Could be. How do you know?
See, you guys have to take an absurdist worldview and borrow from
This is your
absolute
worldview that's absurd.
No,
That's
you
absurd
have to
because you're
borrow
the
from my
absolute
worldview to even have a worldview.
I don't even know what your worldview is. You're claiming absolute certainty and you won't tell me what you're certain of.
Okay. Yes, I am certain that you are talking to me right now and you're not me.
And how did you come to that conclusion?
Really simple. Okay. Because that is the only way we can communicate.
What if it's
not possible?
Why couldn't you be hallucinating?
Okay. Because I couldn't have made up this interrogation.
Oh, why not? People have whole ass conversations in their dreams, in their hallucinations.
Why not? You can't be part of my imagination.
Why not? How do you know with absolute certainty? Yes.
Okay, because I'm not talking to myself. I know that with absolute certainty because there are certain transcendental categories which exist. We're going to end up going way down something that you're not ready for.
Oh, wait, are we doing...
Yes, like the laws of logic and shit.
Are we doing tag right now?
No, we're not doing tag. Like the laws of logic?
Yeah. So how do you know that the laws of logic are true?
Are they existent? Because we wouldn't be able to communicate without them.
Oh, how do you know that? With absolute certainty?
Because you're speaking to me and your words have meanings, right? And we assign those things. Those meanings. Oh, dude, those meanings have an identity. Why you if you believe what you're saying, you wouldn't every word you said. If you believe, listen, every word you said would have no meaning. It would mean everything and nothing all at the same time.
This isn't my worldview. I'm not an absolutist. You are.
Okay. You have to borrow from my worldview where there is a law of identity.
I don't even know what your worldview is.
I just told you, okay? You have to borrow from my worldview and say where it's, you're trying to steamroll me. I'm getting about fed up with it. And I'm going to put an end to it because I'm going to just start being a dickhead. Okay?
So,
you
on your worldview is steamrolling?
Hold on, son, I'm playing in the background. Listen, you're talking to me. You have to use the laws of logic to communicate with me. You asking me what's the justification. You even asking that is the justification. You're in a performative contradiction to say they don't exist. You have to use the laws of logic to argue against them. You understand that, right?
So I'm happy to agree that
you're in a performative contradiction. Acknowledge you're in a performative contradiction.
You've been listening to Jay Dyer and Darth Dawkins for a long time.
Okay, so I don't even know who Darth Dawkins is.
You've been listening to Jay Dyer, good. So I'm happy to agree that absolutely agents by their mere existence, agents have to accede to at least one law of logic, perhaps two, perhaps the law of identity and perhaps the law of non-contradiction. But I don't get how you then justify the external world.
Well, I'm of the vein of Thomas Reed, so
can you make the argument?
You're in a performative contradiction to deny the external world. Okay,
what's the contradiction?
You're talking to me. You're using things. You have to borrow my worldview.
I think there is an external world, but I'm also not an absolutist about truth. You, on the other hand, are an absolutist about truth, which means that you need to provide a justification, a deductive justification for every single claim that you make.
Otherwise, your performative contradiction.
Otherwise, with no
justification is you're in
anything. If you're an absolutist about truth, you can't know anything, rather.
Okay, your word count is off the hook. You're going to let me answer any of the questions you actually ask me, or are you going to answer them for me? So, the justification is the law of identity in and of itself, the mere fact that we're communicating puts you in a performative contradiction. Even if you say you're talking to myself, even in my fucking jar, the law of identity is still true.
What does that have to do with an external world existing?
Oh my God. Because the law of identity exists in the external world. There's things separate from me, which have their own individual identity that is separate. Okay? That means there's an external world.
Where does the law of identity exist?
Well, it exists as a transcendental category. It doesn't exist. It exists in mind. It exists in the mind of people.
It exists in minds. So
that's right. Yeah, it exists in my mind.
It could exist in your mind even
That's how I make sense of the external world.
So it could exist in your mind even if there were no external world, right?
I need something to apply it to.
You could apply it to thoughts in your own mind.
Well, that would be circular.
No, it wouldn't be circular. Where's the circle?
So well, actually, it's like an infinite regression. Well, how did I have thoughts in my own mind to identify with, to create the law of identity, to have objects that are also internal? It just ends up into a circular loop. You don't actually believe the stuff you're saying? So this is...
Under my worldview, the law of identity and the law of non-contradiction are...
Is the law of identity true?
That there exist agents.
Is the law of identity objectively true? Is the law of identity...
No, I did not. Exists in the absence of minds. So if that's what you mean by...
So the law of identity is objectively true, yes or no?
Well, no, in the absence of minds, I don't think that it exists. So I don't think...
Is that objectively true? Is that objectively true?
The proposition is true insofar as propositions exist in minds.
Okay.
So I'm a nominalist. I get that you're some sort of... Well, actually, I don't even know what your worldview is. Are you some sort of like Platonist?
No, I don't have a standardized worldview that you can stick a label on, bro.
That's fair. I mean, so it seems like you just take Jay Dyer's worldview and then try to mix it into flat Earth.
No, I'm not mixing anything, dude. Okay?
So
my worldview is based upon the philosophy of time history. It's called direct realism. And his argument, and he refuted Descartes a long time ago, okay? I know you guys haven't caught up yet, but Descartes was refuted by the very fact that he bothered to publish a book in the fucking first place. If he's just a
contradiction that you've derived.
He published a book. Everybody read it. You read it. Maybe you didn't read it, but everybody read it. It is a delusion to sit there and play pretend that this book wasn't read. This is just.
So to be clear, is this incredulity that you're just saying? Well, it's stupid. Therefore, I think that I'm justified in believing in an external world. Is that your view?
It's a fact that this book was read. Okay, and that people read it and that it was written. You're arguing against it.
How do you know that I'm not just a delusion? I'm not just a hallucination in your mind.
We already covered that.
You haven't sufficiently answered
that leads to a Yeah, I really want to go back on topic though.
Yeah. Look, the audience and everyone wants to hear, right, empirical evidence for whether the Earth is flat or a globe, right? So if we could try to get it back on the actual topic of the debate, that would be great.
He doesn't believe in science, so it's not. He doesn't believe in testing hypotheses using.
What does that mean? I don't believe in science. Is science a belief?
You don't believe in test.
Is science a belief?
Please, I'm answering your question. You don't believe that there is use or validity in.
I asked you if science is a belief, and you talk about me.
I'm answering your question about what I.
Am I talking about me?
Yes.
So I asked you if science is a belief, and you talk about me, and that's answering your question.
So when I said you don't believe in science, I'm explaining.
How do you know what I believe?
Because we've had a conversation already. We're talking about it. I've established what you believe based off the conversation that we've already had. So
no, these rhetorical gimmicks aren't going to work on me, buddy. You're going to need to do better.
What you've done. So
no, you're trying to mischaracterize me, and I'm not going to tolerate it. No, I'm not going to let you freaking monologue and meta conversation. No, we're not doing meta, bro. We're not doing meta.
Answering your question.
This is meta. You're trying to recharacterize the conversation and characterize me as an quote-unquote belief. You interrupt me again.
To test explanations.
Yes, I already acknowledge they're useful.
To test explanations. To test, and I should clarify, to test the validity.
Yeah, they're useful to make you feel better so you can sleep better at night. Yes, they're useful.
Okay, so can we come to true conclusions that way?
You don't even believe in truth.
Sure, I do.
Who's arguing
what does that
for
mean?
the globe?
It means that I don't think that there is a sense in which you can be absolutely guaranteed of certainty.
Okay, so there's a truth that's not true? Because truth means 100% certainty.
I just have a different notion of truth than you do.
This guy talks really
There's the dictionary definition of truth,
awesome.
Okay? That's the only one. So now you're going to make up your own definition of truth. So
philosophers don't rely on Merriam-Webster, right?
I'm well aware of that. So this is the funny thing.
The dictionary definition is kind of silly.
So this is a gimmick you guys do, is that you try to portray as if you're making truth claims while simultaneously saying, I don't know what the truth is. So let's get to, let's just dispense with that, and let's get to like empirical evidence that the Earth is a globe.
Yeah, sure.
I was going to ask you if you know the Earth is a globe.
Are you familiar
with the experiment? Oh, the so-called neutrino experiment?
Yeah, Minos.
I know the world is.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it.
Okay.
I'm familiar with it. Which is more statistical nonsense if you really want to go through it. No one in this chat is going to understand it. You want to keep it simpler?
No, actually, because this is definitive proof that the Earth is a globe. So
definitive proof.
If you want to run from it, yeah.
No. I don't want to run from it. No one in this chat's going to understand it because we're going to start. We're going to start talking about. No, you're explaining. I'm going to explain it.
Absolutely explain it. Yeah.
And you're going to omit about 20. And you're going to omit. You're going to omit a lot of information. I guarantee it.
I'm going to synthesize and summarize.
No, you're going to lie by omission.
Okay. Well, so if you want to, place in the well.
How do they detect the direction of the neutrinos?
So you can actually track their momentum, which is correlated, or which actually tells you the direction.
Correlated.
I said the wrong word. Forgive me. The momentum actually is the direction that they're traveling in. That's what momentum does. It tells you about direction.
Okay.
And so given the scattering, or given the scattering, the transfer of momentum from the neutrinos to the detected particles, you can track basically by the way that the flashes of light appear in the detector.
In the reverse Cherenkov radiation?
I don't know why you're calling it reverse, but sure. And it's
one second here. Have you proven gas pressure can exist within a container?
So there's a fairly straighthtforward claim.
So they get the cross-section of a cone of the Cherenkov radiation, and they infer the direction that the neutrino came from based upon this. Well, it's well known from the ice cube experiment.
Can you repeat yourself? Was that within the conversation that we were listening to, or is there someone new in here?
I think someone new. I think they thought that we were actually having a discussion, but we're listening to a recording right now.
I didn't mean to interrupt. It's just I wanted to know if a glober, proved if we could. Prove that you could prove gas pressure without a container on Earth. Has he done that?
There's no glovers at the moment in here that can reply to you. That's why we're listening to a recording of a debate that happened a week ago, because it's the early time. Not many people in here at the moment.
Shall I put it back on?
Oh, so you're saying it's kind of boring with the glovers and their claims.
We're just listening to a recording at the moment.
That they did in Antarctica, that neutrinos arrive out of the Earth.
Yeah, so do you want to let me explain or no? Because you've done some lying by omission now, actually.
Oh, so did the ice cube experiment in Antarctica, one
Sorry,
of the
we weren't
balloons,
talking about ice cube,
detect
we were talking about
neutrinos? That they come out of the Earth?
They come from all directions. Fortunately, we can figure out whether or not the neutrinos that we're detecting produced by Fermilab are those produced by Fermilab by modulating.
How many detections? How many detections are there?
How many individual detections of
Yes.
the Minos experiment has run for a very long time. I don't know off the top of my head how many individual
It's
detections.
about
the Minos
6.
experiment has
Last
done.
time I looked, it was 6.
No, the Minos detection has been running since 1998. The Minos
Yeah, there were 6 detections.
You think that
Last time I looked, which was like 8 years ago.
Wait, you think that the Minos experiment has only ever detected 6
Neutrino
neutrinos?
detection. Well, listen, it was 6 neutrinos. Okay, over the 3 or 4 years that it was run that I knew about.
Okay, hold on.
Wait, so you guys
neutrinos are hard to
arguing
detect,
with
correct?
yourself?
They're famously hard to detect. Here, let me. I have a paper pulled up from 2013. The Minos experiment results and prospects. I'm looking at a flux chart, which just tells you the amount of neutrinos that are detected at different energies. And what I'm seeing is that there's far more than 6. There's more than 6 bins, and they all have more than 1 unit in them. Now we can actually probably search through this paper and find exact. Oh yeah, so this is events per 8.2 times 10 to the 20 pot. So here's thousands of events per GeV. So I'm not posting it. I can post it if you want. I can pull it up if you want. But the important point is that,
the paper?
The Minos experiment results in prospects by J.J. Evans. So I have a chart that I'm looking at literally right now, which is data of thousands of detections. Anyway, so do you agree that so I'm going to describe the Minos experiment really quick. Please don't interrupt me. Is that fair?
Yeah.
And I'll describe the relevant bits. So
You like to talk fast.
Just outside Chicago. And one of the things that they can do is they can produce neutrinos, which is a type of subatomic particle. They're very, very rare, or not rare. They're very, very hard to detect, and they don't interact with much. So one of the things that they can do is they take this beam of neutrinos that they produce in Chicago, and they angle them down into the Earth at an angle of like 3-ish degrees. I could work out the math. I think it's like 2.5 or 3 degrees or something. They angle it down into the Earth, and then 730 kilometers away in Sudan, which is a place in Minnesota, it's a town in Minnesota, they have a detector. And the detector is like 700 meters below the Earth or something like this. And the detector picks up those neutrinos that came from Chicago, 730 kilometers away. Now, if it were the case that the Earth was flat and that they were not trying to pass through the bulk of the Earth, the curve of the Earth, if you will, then they wouldn't have had to angle it down at 3 degrees. They would have had to angle it down at like 1/10 of a degree or something in order to reach the detector that was 700 meters underground. The fact that they had to angle it down that deep is very compelling evidence to me that the Earth is surely a sphere.
Nonsense.
Okay. Can I speak now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Now, you claimed that the source of the neutrinos, these aren't even direct measurements of neutrinos, these are indirect measurements of the weak interaction of the neutrino with the nucleus of an atom, right?
Is that Indy?
And they're detecting,
Indio?
they're not even detecting a particle. They're detecting the light that a particle emits when it travels faster than the speed of light within that particular medium.
Mm-hmm.
And they're using an avalanche photodetector to detect this light emission, correct?
Yeah, you're describing how the detection method works, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, how do you know they came from Chicago?
You can turn it off, and then you stop seeing that many detections.
Is that what they did?
That's been done, yeah. I have a friend actually who's been there.
Well, I talked to someone that worked at the one in Japan, and I also talked to the one for the Minos. So I talked to people about this, okay, that in the experiment, so-called experiment, actually, what's his name? Anyway, that's not important. Sorry, I'm trying to, I know who you're talking about. He's an anti-flat earther, isn't he?
Maybe I talked to a lot of people.
Yeah, Fokker.
Nope.
Talk to Big Fokker.
I have no idea who it is.
No, if you talk to him, you might not know who it is, but you talk to him.
No,
anyway.
I talked to a guy named Quantanaut, who's a friend of mine.
Oh, him too.
Who's
okay, anyway.
A particle physicist. But yeah, I mean, like,
that's fantastic. And I've asked him the same question that I'm asking you. How do you know which direction it came from? And he didn't have an answer just like you.
Wait, I gave you an answer. You can track the particle motion by looking at the momentum of the...
Can or did?
I'm telling you how you can figure out the direction of motion.
Can or did?
So to be clear,
okay, I'll take that silence as the answer.
This is how calorimeters work. This is how you measure momentum.
Can or did?
I'm not a particle physicist.
Did they get the direction or not?
But the way that you determine whether or not you've detected something is by measuring momentum, and that includes direction. So surely, yes, they did if they measured momentum at all. Which
surely, yes, they did.
That's what they did.
Nobody cares.
Part of your Bayesian inference probability likeliness. Surely.
Your little measurements don't mean shit
is a long track that curves in the magnetic field. The direction of the curvature identifying the incoming neutrino as a new muon.
Hey, Demoxon, just mute yourself and keep yourself muted.
They also talk about the this information is used to determine the direction in which the director activity is traveling. So that's another example. This is referring to atmospheric neutrinos. This is in the same paper. This is how they're selecting out for atmospheric neutrinos by looking at the direction in which the activity is happening. So yes, they do this.
Okay, so
So
Not
yes,
really.
they do determine the
You're not,
direction. It
you're
just
not,
says,
doing,
it just
you're
says
not
so in the
determining
paper.
it came from Chicago. Okay. They
Yeah,
didn't
you
do
absolutely can. So fortunately,
You can, but they didn't. Okay, that's great.
They actually did. So you know how they did? So what they have is they have a plot of the background neutrino radiation, which you get by turning the thing off, and then you turn the thing on, and you collect the data then. And what you find is that the data that you detect is the data that you detect at the detector 730 kilometers away is exactly what you would expect if the neutrinos were coming from Chicago. And that signal goes away when you turn off the beam in Chicago. So I don't know if you think it's coincidence that like space is suddenly more energetic when they turn off the particle collider in Chicago, but that seems like it's an awfully big coincidence that you'd have to believe in order to not believe the Earth is a globe.
Well, I don't believe the Earth is a globe, not because of that. That has no bearing on it. It has to do with how flat it is.
How do you
flat the Earth is.
explain? Then how do you explain why there's a difference in neutrino?
How do you explain how there's no measurable curvature? How do you explain that?
Why'd you interrupt me?
Because you're just asking me non-stop questions. Do you think I might get a turn?
I was giving a piece of evidence, and you haven't provided a sufficient explanation for that piece of evidence. That's
sufficient for what? What do you mean? What do you mean by sufficient?
What I mean by sufficient is any kind
you
of
don't like it?
explanation, any kind of explanation that can account for this data.
Beam there's a greater beam divergence than they say. How about that? There you go.
There's a greater beam divergence than they say.
Yeah, that's right.
So how big is this beam divergence?
3 degrees. There you go.
And what's the evidence for this claim?
They'd make a detection on a flat Earth freaking 500 miles away or 800
So
miles
we're
away.
assuming the consequence?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm doing the same thing you're
assuming
doing.
the Earth is flat in order to justify the view. But we can
And you're assuming the Earth is a sphere to justify that it's going through the Earth.
No. We can measure the divergence, right?
Okay.
This is
How do they measure the divergence? Do they have another...
With nearby detectors.
So they have a nearby detector. 3 degrees in the air. 3 degrees in the air?
It's underground.
Is it 3 degrees in the air?
It's pointing down.
Is it 3 degrees in the air?
Why would it be 3
No, I
degrees
want
in the
one
air?
that's 3 degrees in the air.
Why would there be one that's 3 degrees in the air? What?
Okay, you said this thing's pointed down, right?
Yeah,
so 3 degrees from the direction. You said it's pointed down. You said it's pointed down by 3 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a half-width beam divergence of 3 degrees, right? That would be parallel to the surface of the Earth, right? Relative to the beam direction, the axis of the beam, it would be in the air, right? It's off axis.
So where's the evidence that it is? Where is this evidence?
Oh, because you make the detection on a flat Earth. Yeah, you make a detection on a flat.
So
I'm doing what you're doing.
No,
I'm doing what you're doing.
Look,
I'm doing what you're doing.
The neutrinos are pointing down.
I am doing what you're doing. I'm exposing you.
The Earth at all.
So why, like, listen,
Where did I assume the shape of the Earth at all?
these are nice gimmick tactics, okay? But I'm doing what you're doing. I am affirming the consequent, okay? Just like you're doing. And I can make up an explanation. Dude, how many times do you interrupt me now?
Can you actually just address the question? Because you're affirming the consequent. When have I assumed the shape of the Earth with regard to the Minos experiment?
When you said it goes through the Earth.
Well, I mean, it is underground, right? So surely it goes through the Earth regardless of whether you think the Earth is flat or round.
You said that the beam divergence was measured at other places, okay?
Yeah,
one of those other places would need to be someplace that's within, right? If you want to eliminate Earth versus globe versus flat Earth, you have to go parallel versus globe, this direction versus that direction, and you have to test it at that direction.
Nearby.
How close?
At the beam, at the beam origin.
At the beam.
Yeah.
So they got a detector right on the other side of the beam. What was it, like a super freaking huge tank? Because you already said it's hard to measure.
You don't have to detect all the neutrinos.
What is the method of the neutrinos? What are they using to detect it close to the beam?
So the actual calorimeter, I don't know.
Is it under the ground?
They're using. The whole thing's underground. Yeah.
No, the detector is it
all of it's underground.
Is it in the beam path somewhere?
Yes, they have calorimeters along the beam path. Yeah.
Okay, so the beam path is underground, right? That's what you said. It's going through the Earth. Yeah. No, listen, buddy. Okay, you got the sagittal. You're saying it's going through the chord of the fucking arc, right? Through the chord of the arc, arriving in Minnesota. Okay. Yep. Where in that chord is the detector to check the divergence?
It's at the origin, or near the origin anyway. It's at the origin of the beam. By the way, I found a paper that actually talks about the divergence.
You have to detect it further away.
Not really. I found a paper that talks about the divergence, and apparently it's less than 10 milliamps.
Are you Googling this on the fly? Yeah, that's a cool story. How do they know that?
Do you want to read the paper together?
No, I don't want to read the paper together.
Okay.
This is called obscurantism.
How is it obscurantism?
Because nobody knows about neutrinos or how neutrinos interact with matter or anything about them.
I'm sorry, is the science too sophisticated for your audience?
It's too sophisticated for your audience.
No, it's not. My audience loves this stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure they do because they want to play pretend scientist and pretend they know what you're talking about, but they don't. Okay, you know they don't know what you're talking about. They're just like Google Gaga.
I would actually bet that a big chunk of my audience does know what neutrinos are.
Knows what they are. Yeah, fine. Everybody in this chat knows what they quote unquote are. Okay. That's fine. So then there's no issue talking about this. This isn't obscurantism. This is just, a subject of conversation. No, obscurantism isn't going into details such as beam divergence. How do you measure neutrinos? How would you even measure them right at the point of freaking emission? I don't know, because they need a big super fucking tank fucking 800 miles away. They need a giant tank in Japan, but somehow they're detecting the beam divergence neutrinos right at the point of the emitter.
So
somehow.
You know what's lovely? You can also calculate the divergence of
more sales
really
pitch.
Easily.
Yeah, great. You can calculate it. I can calculate and affirm the consequent too. So what?
There's no affirming the consequent here. This is just standard like Maxwellian electromagnetism.
So neutrinos are in Maxwellian electromagnetism now.
Well, no. So the source of the neutrinos are decaying muons, and so from momentum conservation, we can infer that the decaying muons have the same momentum.
Maxwell's electrodynamics has nothing to do with any of that.
I wasn't done yet. Thanks.
Yeah, but it has nothing to do with any of that.
We can figure out the momentum of the muons and use that to determine the momentum of the neutrinos.
And that has exactly what to do with fucking Maxwell's equations.
To determine the momentum of the muons, you use the Lorentz force law, which is associated with Maxwell's equations. You can do E cross B tests and things like this.
Yeah, fantastic. Is that what they're doing?
Yeah, this is one of the ways that you can measure
the divergence of the neutrinos.
That's the way that you can calculate it in principle.
Can. So
I mean, I could do it right now on live if you wanted to. So it sounds like your whole argument is sowing doubt rather than actually presenting evidence or presenting contradictory evidence. It's just like, can.
I'm asking you a very specific question so that I can rely on the experiment that you say proves the Earth is a globe by shooting neutrinos through the fucking core of the arc, and I'm asking you particular details about how you know this to be true, and you don't know them. You just say it could have been done, right? So it wasn't done, and you know it wasn't done.
So essentially, well, to be clear, I don't.
So more meta. This is listen. If you guys had to pay $1,000 every time you said you're doing X, you'd be broke.
So. Look, it seems like what you're interested in doing is just asking questions until I don't know an answer. Yeah. You. I'm talking about you.
I'm asking details.
The point is I could ask details about your model over and over until you don't know an answer. But that's not a good way to have a good conversation. On the other hand, on anything that you say, I could ask questions until you don't know an answer because you haven't personally done it. Now, I wasn't on the Minos experiment. I know people who were, so I know some details about it. I don't know everything about the experiment. I don't know everything about the implementations that they used in doing data accumulation, data tracking. I don't know everything about this. However,
fine. It was your proof, not mine.
Happy to ask. Look, the point is that the
magic science guy fallacy.
What?
There's a magic science guy out there that has the information, just not you.
I didn't say that, but that's a cool straw man. The point is
it's not a straw man. It's what you guys do.
I'm providing.
When you're asked particulars,
I literally have
some other guy with the information.
So the point is
do you have the information?
That there are detections, and
no, you provided claims. I asked for evidence, and you didn't have it.
I can provide you the data if you want right now.
The data that doesn't have the key things.
Well, no, I mean the point is that this is data.
This path is this path only
given Bayesian reasoning. We would expect to see this data if the Earth was a globe. We would expect to see this data when you angle it down. If the Earth was not a globe, you would not expect that.
Okay. But it assumes all the particulars are true in the first instance. It never assumes true because you already assume that the Earth is but you're assuming your conclusion already that the Earth is a globe.
Nowhere in anything that I've mentioned have I assumed the Earth is a globe. Rather, I assumed that we can figure out what directions neutrinos travel in, which of course we can. Even the people at IceCube
figure that out. I guess use as evidence.
The people at IceCube and the people at Super Kamiokande have done that.
And what happened with the IceCube? You want to talk about that? What happened to IceCube?
I was only bringing up IceCube to illustrate that we can figure out what direction neutrinos.
Yeah, you don't want to talk about that, do you?
If you want to talk about IceCube, you can. I just don't see how.
Well, we can talk about how what they thought would happen didn't happen.
Care to elaborate?
They did not expect to have neutrinos coming out of the Earth.
What are you talking about? Of course they did. Neutrinos come from all directions. That was actually
they say that now.
No, that was the whole point of the IceCube experiment.
No,
the whole point of the IceCube experiment was to detect astronomical neutrinos by looking at neutrinos that aren't coming from above but are coming from below. That was the whole point.
Yeah, they did not expect the volume of neutrinos that they got. This is all published material.
Perhaps the amount, because that's what the point of doing science is to figure things out and learn new things. But they wanted to find neutrinos coming from below precisely because they wanted to characterize them.
Okay, I have to stop this. We need to talk about flat Earth, not neutrinos.
Yeah. So
just a second, just quickly,
sure, go ahead.
Just a moment, guys. Okay. So Blitz has had a good chance to present what he said is his best argument, for the globe. It would be great if, before the time runs out, we could get Indio to present a case for the flat Earth, right? And to, ask Blitz about that. So if you guys could sort of wrap up this particular argument and let Indio present a case, in favor of the flat Earth, that would be great.
Yeah, sure. If you want to present the best, I only got to talk about one experiment, but if you want to present the best piece of data in favor of the flat Earth, by all means.
Well, there's a lot of pieces, but I would say the most irrefutable is the symmetry of the reflection at the Bolivian salt flats. So as you know,
so can you elaborate?
Yeah, the Bolivian salt flats are salt flats in Chile. It's about 43,000 square kilometers, I think. But every once in a while it rains and it fills up with water, about 2 inches of water. So this creates a gigantic mirror. The entire surface of the Bolivian salt flats become a giant mirror.
Mm-hmm.
And as everyone knows, that a convex mirror can't reflect an image that is symmetrical. So the object.
I don't follow the point. What do you mean it can't reflect a mirror that's symmetrical? If your mirror is
cannot.
symmetrical,
if you have an object, not if it's curved. It'll create diverging.
I've looked in these things. It'll be symmetrical if your mirror is symmetrical. Like if your mirror is like.
Well, if you're looking at it dead on, but we're looking at it. But this is a side view, right? It's a side view of a curved surface, right?
Sure.
It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a side view of a curved surface. Sorry, I had a phone call. So you have the sky and the clouds, right? And you have the dividing line, the horizon, and then you have the reflection of the clouds in the sky. Mm-hmm. It is perfectly symmetrical between the clouds and the reflection of the clouds. The image of the clouds that's reflected in the water is perfectly symmetrical, and it should be distorted. Yes, okay. It's perfectly symmetrical.
Did you measure it?
Well, I've measured it by counting pixels.
Okay, so you're just trusting the flat Earth guy.
Well, there's hundreds of images that you can measure, right?
Okay, and
But
second question.
According to the mathematics, hold on, you're going to let me finish?
Yeah, go ahead.
So there's the sky and the reflection of the sky, and those are that you can overlay them so that they're perfectly the same, right? Like you make a transparency and overlay them. They're perfectly the same. They're nearly perfectly symmetrical, right?
Oh, I thought they were perfectly symmetrical.
Well, I mean, perfect is probably the wrong word, right? So you want me to get sub-pixel accuracy. So
So they're not perfectly symmetrical?
they're more symmetrical than the globe predicts. How do you like
Okay,
that?
how much would the globe predict it to be off by?
Okay, so since the angle resolution of the eye, right, is 0.07 degrees, and if we were to use the camera with a
One
greater
arc
angle
minute, isn't it?
resolution,
Is that 0.07?
are you gonna why are you interrupting me?
I'm just clarifying.
You scared? Because you never heard
Just
this argument? And you don't have anything in the canned answer to whip out?
I'm just clarifying.
Okay,
If you have trouble with that, then maybe just don't. Maybe speak more clearly. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm speaking. Okay, so
Go ahead.
there's a distance at which that the reflection will stop being symmetrical with the sky. That distance, according to the globe, on Earth, the radius 3,959 miles, is 0.7 miles from the observer. The observer sees a horizon at least 3.2 miles away, right? So you have 2/3 of the distance between a point on the ground and further that should be distorted and get continually more distorted as it approaches the horizon, okay?
Question.
As anybody knows, a curved mirror, okay, because we have this thing called the law of reflection.
I have a
Hold
question,
on.
if I can ask.
Yeah,
let him finish. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
So
Go
we
ahead.
have the law of reflection. So the angle of incidence equals the law of reflection. And because the surface is curved, every light ray is hitting the surface at a different angle, right? So you have diverging rays that reflect off the surface from any particular source. Any point that's in the sky, that light will hit the surface and the rays will diverge, okay? So if you have clouds or whatever's up in the sky, the sun or anything, that image will appear compressed compared to what you see directly by looking directly at it, okay? This is not possible on a globe. You cannot have a symmetrical reflection on a curved mirror.
Right, so a few questions. So why'd you bring up the human eye when we're talking about camera photos?
Well, because a human eye is the best possible case.
But we're not talking about the human eye here. We're talking about photos because you haven't been there, right? We're talking about photos that you've counted the pixels on, right?
Yeah, photos, videos.
Right. So the human eye is irrelevant.
Okay, no. Okay,
Why is the
human eye is not irrelevant because using this is what's called where you go. I'm giving you the best case scenario. If we go with larger apertures, it gets worse for the globe, not better.
Sorry, so the calculation that you did for the human eye, not relevant. Do we agree on that?
Yeah, okay. You want me to do a new calculation for a larger aperture, and it's just going to get worse.
Yeah.
Dude.
And so
I can get better.
I'd actually like you to. It would be great if you could, I don't know, paste a link or something, or show me the calculation that you did to establish that the curvature should be visibly noticeable at a given distance. That would be great. I'd love to see that calculation. Can you provide it?
I only have it for the human eye right now.
Well, I'm not asking for the resolution, because the resolution that you can just use Rayleigh's criterion to find the resolution, the ideal resolution anyway. I'm actually asking for the calculation.
No, because you have to know
the curvature is visible, or that the distortion should be visible at 0.7 miles. Where did that calculation come from?
Okay, you need to know the smallest angle that you can resolve, right? The difference, right? Okay, so because because the beams diverge, right? So the rays diverge. If the rays diverge, what's the smallest angle of divergence I can detect? When I look directly at it, it looks like it's like 1 degree. What's the smallest difference in angle between that and the object I'm looking at that I can detect?
Well, so it's a little bit more complicated than that, because when you take a photo with a camera, what you're doing is you're actually projecting, what you might call like your field of view onto a flat screen. And so that projection is going to introduce additional angles. So the calculation is not as simple as how much does the angle actually diverge from the surface of a sphere. You need to do a little bit more work than that, especially because you're projecting a
I am well aware how to make this.
Okay, so that's why I want to see the calculation so I can actually see how it works.
Okay, you're looking. So let me put it like this. Let's say we had a bunch of lines on this curved mirror, right? We just drew them, and we're trying to see the separation between the lines. There's a minimum separation that we can see based upon the angle that we can resolve. So if I look at it with a human eye,
based on the angle, yeah.
So say they're parallel to the horizon, right? And there's a bunch of lines that go up into the distance. Now the separation between any pair of lines, the angle. So for the human eye, if it was smaller than 0.02 degrees, it would look like one line instead of two lines. You agree with that?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
So smaller than if the visual angle separating the two lines is smaller than the resolving power of the eye, it won't look like two separate lines.
It'll look like one
line.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, fantastic. Now if I get a bigger aperture, right?
Yeah, you'll be able to resolve them better, sure.
That's right. They'll separate, right? You'll see two lines.
Yeah. So
how does increasing the aperture size make the distortion less visible?
You can give me the calculation for the eye. I just want to see the calculation where you go from human eye resolution to 0.7 miles. I want to see that calculation.
It's in the chat.
It's in the chat?
No, I'm going to post it, dude.
Okay. Let me know when you posted it.
Yeah. Hold on.
I wish I was better at Photoshop.
Yeah, you can work for NASA then.
Well, see, because I'm actually checking your claim that they match pixel for pixel, and it doesn't actually look like they do.
Did you measure it, or did you just?
I'm doing what you said, where you overlay one with the other, and then you change the opacity, right?
Yeah. So which one's smaller? Which one's larger?
Sorry, which one's smaller? Which one's larger?
Yeah, which one's larger?
Making them.
Yeah, which one?
So, well, they just
You're
don't overlap.
rescaling them? Why would you do that?
I'm working on it right now.
Why would you rescale them?
I haven't rescaled them yet.
Okay. You shouldn't rescale it at all.
I haven't. Oops. Okay, so now if I take this, let's see if I can overlap it. Oh no, they don't overlap. What a bummer.
Go ahead, post in the chat, dude. Go
Yeah,
for it.
okay.
You're gonna cook yourself, dude. You don't even realize it.
Here, let me take a screenshot. Can I can post screenshots into the chat, yeah?
Yeah, I assume so, yeah.
So for reference, what I did is I overlapped perfectly one of the clouds, and then I'm checking to see if the other clouds are the same.
Yeah. Can you tell us which is which is in the sky and which is on the ground?
Sorry, it's processing. 1 sec. Okay, I'm looking at your calculation, by the way. Okay, so we set the angular difference equal to the resolving power. So we have 2 theta is 0.
So this was
degrees.
this is calculated.
Okay, so you're converting it to degrees, fine. And therefore, okay, so you have it in radians rather. Then you calculate the distance. So you say that theta is the distance or is the vertical distance or the horizontal distance divided by the longitudinal distance, fine. Converting the rate. Oh, you didn't actually do any sort of projection math, did you?
No.
Oh, okay, so you didn't do what I asked you to do. So by the way, here's the picture that I sent.
You didn't ask me to do anything.
I asked for like the math.
So you want me to convert it into homogeneous coordinates?
Well, I want you to
convert it into homogeneous coordinates? Is that what you want?
That's one way
yeah,
to do it.
You said I didn't do any projection math. That means you want it in a...
project it to the what's it called? The sensor.
Yeah,
what's it called? The field of...
Okay, that's fine.
Stop interrupting me.
I'm trying to clarify what you're saying, dude. Okay? What you want. What your complaint is. Okay? Your complaint is that I didn't take the Euclidean geometry and convert it into projective geometry, such as homogeneous coordinates. Is that your complaint?
Basically, yeah. You didn't compute pixel location based off of the angle.
I'll do it when I feel like it.
Anyway, so I pasted in the overlaying of 2 different opacities. So I took the top, flipped it, and then I pasted it over the bottom, and I made one set of clouds in the middle overlap. And you notice that the farther away they get from the middle, the bigger the deviation.
Okay, the top or the bottom?
I didn't change the top at all. I just took the top and overlaid it on the bottom and changed the opacity.
Okay, that's fine. Which gets which stretches, the top or the bottom? Trying to figure out. Trying to figure it out, and you just depends on which way. Like I said,
the clouds are in different places, so it's not a perfect reflect. It's not perfectly symmetrical. There's a distortion away from the
in the wrong direction. The distortion's in the wrong direction. The mirror should appear compressed.
The mirror should appear compressed.
That's right.
Why should the mirror appear compressed?
Oh my God! Guess what? I'll just show you.
By the way,
I'll just show you photographs.
We're talking about the position. The individual clouds are not big enough that we can actually see the change in size at all. It's just the relative change in position, but like the individual points on the cloud. And so what we're seeing is that the sky. It seems like the images in the sky. I'm looking at it right now. It's kind of hard to tell. It looks like the images in the sky are further apart than the images down below. And one way you can see this in the image that I attached is that if you look on the left, there's if you look down here, that bottom bit, I don't know if you can see what I'm saying, but that bottom bit is from the sky. So the point is if you look on the left, all the parts that are lower, those are from the sky rather than from the ground. So it looks like, yeah, it actually does look like the image is compressed as you want, right? So why is it that
I can't see what you're doing? So
well, I mean, just look at the look at the overlap in the bottom left, and you'll see that there's like not.
I'm not watching your screen, buddy. Like,
I'm not showing it. It's in the image that I pasted for you. I put it into the chat.
In the FE stage?
Yeah.
In the stage?
Scroll up. It was right below what you said.
Right below the top hat. Oh, that image?
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know where you got this one.
I literally made it 5 minutes ago.
No, dude, I do not even know if this is a photograph.
It is a photograph.
Are you sure? Because there's a lot of what would you call it? Photoshop art of the Bolivian salt flats that aren't actual photos.
So hold on, actually explain this to me. If this was fake, why wouldn't they match perfectly?
I didn't say fake.
If it was Photoshop, why wouldn't they match perfectly?
Did you get this from a place that said the Bolivian salt flats?
I got it from a website that's in Spanish, and I found it on Google search when I searched Bolivian salt flats. I mean, I can do it again for another one, but now it's really, really funny because now what you're saying is oh well,
I never used it
for these. Okay, so which ones do you use? We can do this for any of them.
Hey, here's a cool one. Want to see a video?
Well, I mean, you can screen grab the video if you want.
Hold on.
Because I just did what you asked me to do, right? All I did was I just took a photo from the Bolivian salt flats, and then I took the top half.
You don't even know. Took a photo off the internet, dude.
Okay, so where do you think it's from, then, my guy?
So if I don't know where it's from the Bolivian salt flats.
Well, no, I mean, like it looks like all of the other pictures of the Bolivian salt flats. So like I don't know.
No, it looks similar, but look at the blue of the sky. Does that look like a normal color to you? Look at the color of the blue sky. Does that look like a normal color to you?
Your own piece of.
Does that look like a normal
It looks like
color to you?
It looks like it absolutely could have been like color corrected to make it look more pretty. But just to be clear, we took your piece, your best piece of flat Earth evidence. I just took the first.
This was not my evidence. No, good try though. Good try. This was not my evidence. This was some shit you pulled off the internet.
Okay, so do you want my?
Yeah, I just did.
Okay, where's the? Hold on, where's the link? I don't see it. Okay. All right. It's really low resolution. Can you render one so that I can, because like I can hardly even see like the edges of the clouds.
I'll find you one. Hold on, give me a second.
Think that the atmosphere distorts images?
Oh, I would say it distorts the way things look outside the camera. Yeah, sure.
So cameras don't see atmospheric distortion?
It's called turbulence. That's the name of it. It's not called atmospheric distortion.
Turbulence is a description of a type of fluid motion, and turbulence can cause atmospheric distortion. But atmospheric distortion is just the general name for a broad category of phenomena where things appear to look different.
That's a cool story, and you say that so authoritatively, but you don't know what you're talking about.
I know what I'm talking about pretty well.
No, you don't. So this is well known within
that's called poisoning
laser optics, atmospheric measurement, surveying. It's called turbulence. Okay.
No, turbulence is a type of fluid flow.
Okay, no, not in this sense. No, it's
that's just
the way
what
it's modeled with okay, it can be. That's under the umbrella of turbulence. This is like a word context fallacy. In the context I'm talking about, there's inhomogeneities within the air of varying shapes and sizes.
Yep.
In any optical path. They could be a kilometer in size. They could be freaking like little bubbles, a freaking meter in size.
Absolutely.
They could be small. They could be smaller than that. But that's not a flow. Okay, it's not modeled as a flow. It's usually modeled as a.
That's not turbulence either.
That's
turbulence
how it's
not inhomogeneities.
They call it. Okay. That's what they call it in the field of surveying, right? Maybe you call it that in your mathematical physics that don't exist somewhere else. But in the field, the people that actually do this stuff, that's what they call it. Okay. They called it when the Air Force shot a laser from one Hawaiian island to the other. They're modeling turbulence. Okay.
So then we just are using the word differently. Fine. The point is did you account for that in your calculations?
No, you're using the word differently than the way they use it in academia, and you're trying to play
the way that it's used in academia is a type of fluid flow. Okay. You're talking about in the field. They use it a different way in the field, like amongst surveyors, which is fine. Yeah. Words have different meanings in different contexts.
Surveyors. Not just surveyors.
You said surveyors.
That's one.
Okay, so when physicists talk about turbulence, they're referring to a specific type of fluid flow.
Okay, so characterization of atmospheric turbulence effects over 148, 49
atmospheric turbulence effects. The effects of
using multi-wavelength laser propagation.
You're doing it. Bingo. These are the effects of atmospheric turbulence, which is exactly what I said.
That atmospheric turbulence can cause fluid flow. Atmospheric distortions. They don't model it as don't model it as a fluid flow. Okay, no, they're not modeling it as a fluid flow. They're modeling it as inhomogeneities in the air. Okay, that's how they're modeling it. Yes, in the air. I can send you diagrams.
Fluid flow can cause inhomogeneities.
Good. Have you read any literature on this?
Yeah. On like
yeah, sure. That was a real competent. Yeah.
I mean, like I can show you a paper that I look at fairly frequently if you want. It's a paper published in an optics journal. I can show you some papers that I've read with regards to atmospheric. What is it? The calculation of the what is it called? It's Gauss's coefficient, I think is what it's called. It's the letter K that's used to refer to the. There's a word for it, and I'm blanking on it.
Okay, so you haven't, dude.
I can pull up the paper for you if you want.
That's great. You probably never read it. This is just smoke.
I literally did. That's why I have it in my reference.
You're trying to play, and you've been trying to play this. Don't talk. I know more than this guy because there's 3 letters behind my name. I didn't give you my background, and I'm not going to give it to you. But you don't know what you're talking about.
I didn't bring up my background at all.
No,
so the letter that I was looking for.
Moving on.
It was the refraction coefficient. That was the word I was looking for. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the refract is an ad hoc nonsense, dude.
Well, I mean, it's just a coefficient. It's a way that you can measure like.
Yeah, it's coefficient based upon what? Relative to what?
It's coefficients don't have to be relative to something. Coefficients are numbers that describe certain properties.
It's a coefficient, but it is in this case, right?
Well, it's trying to quantify the amount of atmospheric refraction. That's what the coefficient does.
Okay.
And
it's telling you the deviation from the prediction of what you would expect if you had a straight light ray on an Earth of radius 3,959 miles.
Okay, if you want to say that, that's fine. I'm just telling you what the refraction coefficient is about. The refraction coefficient is trying to quantify how much light bends in the atmosphere.
No.
Like, do you have trouble with that? You have a problem with that?
By
the way, I'm still waiting for the video. I'm still waiting for the video that you can send me so I can do the flipping thing.
I already posted it a long time ago.
I asked for a different one because it was too low resolution. I couldn't see the clouds. Okay. Maybe it was because you uploaded it to it was like a GIF that you uploaded to. Just post a link to YouTube or something.
Oh, I don't know why you just can't like make a dividing line at the horizon and just see if it's symmetrical. Like
because the video that you posted, I don't know if this is a result of like because it's being passed through Discord or something, but the video that you posted is so low resolution that I can't even see what the edges of the clouds are. Yeah, like this is like 480p. Like we need sharp edges to compare, right?
You think I'm gonna forget about what we just talked about? You got nothing coming, dude. I don't forget.
I asked for a better video like 15 minutes ago, and you still haven't provided it. It sounds like you're running away from it.
Jesus Christ, dude. Y'all's gimmicks, dude, is all the same. It doesn't matter how many I talk to you, dude. It's always
where's the evidence?
Always the same rhetoric.
So when I actually analyzed one of these pictures,
Yeah, more meta.
Oh, you have a okay screenshot. Great. Let me take this. I'm gonna grab this really quick, and then we'll put it into GIMP, and we'll do the flippy thing, and we'll see how it looks. Is that fair?
Yeah, fine. Yeah. So what was I talking about?
That's a great question.
Oh, the K constant, right? The so-called K coefficient is based upon it's a coefficient relative to a presumed globe. And the reason they use it is that if you use this K coefficient, you match it to what's the size of a globe. Say you had a globe of your K coefficient is, what they use 76R, right? So 76 times the radius. What you do is you just take a globe, make it 76 sides of what the globe is, and then you just do straight rays and see what happens there. So this is just reverse engineering some observation and then applying a K coefficient. It's literally ad hoc. It's
so
nonsense.
Just to be clear, you asked me about papers that I'd read, and I gave you an example.
Yeah, but it's ad hoc. You gave me you probably read it from, which one is it?
No, I found it myself. I've actually never heard of it. I've actually never seen a glober refer to this paper. So it's kind of like a really nice.
What's it called? Reciprocal zenith angle one? Is that it?
Nope, that's not the name of the paper. It is called monitoring the refraction coefficient in the lower atmosphere using a controlled setup of simultaneous reciprocal vertical angle measurements.
That's what I just said.
The title. You got the title wrong. It doesn't say anything about reciprocal zenith angles.
Yeah,
it says reciprocal vertical angle measurements.
Published in 2010.
Yep.
I also just said that.
Yeah. Wait, what did you say?
I also said by Hurt. I said that.
Okay, so I'm pulling up this,
30 seconds ago. I read it a long time ago. Okay.
Okay, cool. So, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for reading.
Fantastic. Okay.
Just quickly, guys. Sorry to interrupt. It's been quite a bit over the time that you guys wanted for the first hour. You guys can keep going as long as you want. I'm just letting you know. And also we've got AV who wanted to come up next to have a chat, but he was asking Planet Peterson, who we've got in the side chat. Blitz, do you know Planet Peterson?
I do.
Yeah, so he was AV was asking if he could come up and there could be a little bit of a 2-on-2 conversation happening, but I think
I got a better idea.
So by the way, I just took the image that you did. Just as a quick point, I just took the image that you did, that you posted, and I flipped it, and they don't overlap perfectly.
Cool story, bro. Anyway, they don't overlap perfectly?
No, they don't. There's distortions away. Like if you try to overlap two things, there are distortions on one side as opposed to the other side. I can screen cap the.
On one side is vertically or horizontally?
Both.
Okay, and
so they don't match up. The top one is bigger than the top one is bigger than the smaller one. It looks like. So, cool story. Your evidence is wrong. Your evidence is wrong, I guess.
My evidence is wrong. So,
well, yeah. I mean, this is a good example, right?
I'll make sure I get the correct calculations for you.
Please.
I'm going to show you them, and will you concede when it shows that the distortion should be easily visible to any human being with a camera or with a human eye?
Sure. If you can do the calculations,
sure, you'll concede.
If that's what the calculations say, sure.
Okay. So, DJ, I have another suggestion. Me and unless Blitz wants to stay up here, we drop out, and AB and Planet Peterson go at it.
So I'm scheduled for. I'm going to be live for another hour and a half. If nobody else wants to have a conversation with me, that's fine. I'll just drop out and I'll do my own thing on YouTube and TikTok and bring up other guests from elsewhere.
Well, I kind of like it that we have the interaction of like everybody in here. So if you're going to be on that long, I don't know how long Planet Peterson's going to take. But maybe he can give us a part of his time too.
I honestly wasn't even planning on coming up. I was typing and I got the invitation and I hit spacebar and for some reason that accepted the invite.
Yeah, it's impromptu, I know, but I think it makes for a good conversation if we can all be able to have it. I think it's great 2v2 material. So if you want, you can fire up your social media, probably get some impromptu kind of content going. And Blitz PhD can.
So the plan was just to do 1v1s. I don't often do 2v2s, and I'd rather not. So if we want to.
I'm not planning on participating in anything either, so.
Really? Aren't you guys from the same perspective that the Earth is a globe?
We both think the Earth... Look, I only do 1v1 debates. That's just what I do.
Oh.
So...
I saw you in a 2v2 debate, though.
When?
We're used to all
Wits that you and McGolby face versus Wits and Caleb.
Oh, yeah, that was like over a year ago. Yeah, so like...
That was a fundraiser.
You didn't do that, but you did.
So I do live streams 5 days
in the morning.
Oh, anymore.
So on my own live streams, when I'm doing my own live streams, I only talk to one person at a time. So if there's some scheduled event like separate from my own standard live streaming time, I'm happy to do whatever. That's not what this is. At least that wasn't the intent. I never bring up guests like friendlies or whatever on my own live streams. It's just not a thing I do.
I got a sad clown face now. But here the problem is, dude, like we're trying to get to the heart of the issue. And it seems like throughout your discourse with Indio, you didn't provide or substantiate that the Earth is a globe in any way, shape, or form. As a matter of fact, it was to the contrary. According to your epistemological worldview, or saying that the Earth cannot be a globe based on the fact that you could not know that it is one. So
sorry. So wait a minute. Hold on. So I'm happy to talk to AV, but
sure.
If we're going to do that, I prefer to be 1v1. Is that fair?
I got to go to boys room.
Yeah, that's good. It seems like Planet Peterson's not keen, but look, just quickly, Planet Peterson, would you like to, come back another time? We could set something like this up with you.
Yeah, you could choose me, Planet, if you like.
I don't know. Maybe somebody DM me.
Yeah, I'll be on you, man.
Remember when you said that I go outside, it looks flat, therefore it is flat, was a valid syllogism?
But I thought you said
No, I said that was a valid axiom.
Well, he wants to engage though.
No,
All right, let's pick that up another time. Let's have,
syllogism, and that's what you said.
chat with
Pick that up
Blitz, because Blitz
This
was the one that was supposed to
See you
be.
later.
Yeah, we'll pick that up another time.
It wouldn't be a syllogism because it doesn't have two premises. I would never say that. Fucking dumb to even say something like that. I didn't say.
So AV, what was your view? What was your point?
Well, my point was that from off the rip, from the very beginning of the top of this conversation, you provided no substantiation to the Earth being a globe. And as a matter of fact, you diverted away from that, and you actually proved that you can't actually ascertain any information empirically based on your worldview. So you couldn't substantiate the Earth being a globe if you tried, sir. Based on the fact that you can't know.
My standard for truth is different from yours.
Yeah, let me just lay it out for you.
I mean, if you're going to straw man me, I'm not going to be happy about that. It is a straw man, but go ahead.
It's an observation of your conversation, right? So the conversation you were having, and these are your words, not mine. You said, I'm not an absolutist. Yet you use words like determine. And so in order to use that framework, when you're saying I'm going to determine something, then you know it. Now, if you don't know it, you can't determine, which is your worldview. You can't determine.
So that is, if you want me to clarify, I can clarify. That's not, so when I say determine, when I say no, I'm not invoking these in absolute senses.
Really? In what sense are you invoking them then?
High credence.
High credence.
Yeah.
So it's a high probability. So that means that you don't
well,
actually
it's credence.
know.
Credence and probability aren't the same thing. When I say no, I don't mean it in an absolute sense. That's just not what I mean.
Okay, so 100% sure that the Earth is a globe is not anything you're saying.
I'm not 100% sure of anything, except perhaps
so then
that
includes the Earth being a globe, correct? Including the Earth being a globe.
Absolutely. I'm as sure that the Earth is a globe as I am that I have hands.
Okay, so that means that you know that the Earth is a globe because you actually have hands.
In the same way that I know I have hands, I know the Earth is a globe.
Okay, so that means that's claiming absolute knowledge.
Nope, it's not. That's just not what I mean by no.
Okay, if you have a hand and you put it right in front of you, are you saying that's not your hand? 100%.
My point is that I don't think that you can have absolute certainty about these kinds of claims.
Really? So you don't absolutely know that a hand is in front of you? If
I have a wildly high degree of certainty, yeah, but I am not going to claim 100%.
No, sir, it's important for the audience. Why would you say?
Are you not familiar with like epistemic humility?
Yeah, I am. But see, the problem is you're using a worldview that borrows from a worldview that's laying a foundation for knowledge. And that is
I'm not borrowing from the Christian worldview at all. I'm not.
No, it's not a Christian worldview. It's a worldview.
I mean, it comes from like you're getting it from Jay Dyer too. I understand that.
Jay Dyer is whoever he is. I don't really know who that guy is. Indio might know. I don't follow these guys.
Okay.
I only follow logic and reason.
So what worldview am I borrowing from?
Let's see. It could be a fallibilist position. It could be a nihilistic position. Any of these characteristics might be something that you're akin to, like, talking about, which is like what you're saying.
I'm not a nihilist.
You can't know anything to be true 100%. So that means,
I'm not a nihilist.
Including the globe, you don't know if it's 100% globe. So
yeah, that's why I use analogies. That's why I use analogies. Please stop speaking for myself. Stop speaking for what I know. That's why I use language like I know. AV, please stop speaking.
Thank you for interrupting.
Quick time up, guys. AV and Blitz, just 1 second, guys. AV, I just wanted to mention your mic volume is like half of what Blitz's is. If you're able to, that's a bit better.
AV, he's been strawmanning my position and not letting me actually elaborate on my own position.
Yeah, look, both people like try to let the other one finish talking, and
he's just been steamrolling, telling me what I believe without letting me elaborate on what I believe.
Hold on a second. We're going to reset. We're going to start again. Hopefully, AV's volume's a bit higher now. And we can continue. And yes, that's much better. Way better, man. Okay. Awesome. Okay, and both guys, please try not to interrupt.
Yeah. Well, as I was saying before he jumped into me, I wanted him to define what he said he knows based on his worldview, because what he says is a high probability is not a knowledge claim. That is just something
that is a knowledge claim. That's what I mean by the word no.
Yeah, subjectively interpret based on what he thinks.
That's what I mean by the word no. If you mean something else, that's on you. When I say no, what I mean is that I have a high degree of certainty.
Yeah. So what that interprets to be is that you don't actually know, like what we're saying.
I don't know what you mean by actually know. When you say actually know, that just means.
I'm telling you, but thank you for steamrolling me.
We're going to take a pause for a second. You are over talking. Hold on a second, dude. One second. No. Hold on a second. Yeah, look, if he says something that you don't agree with, right, just wait until he's finished and then address it. And then he's not allowed to interrupt you while you're addressing that at the end. Otherwise, it's just going to be chaos.
Okay, that's fine. I'll just steamroll him about his own worldview too, and then he can't interrupt me when I do it. That's fine.
All right, let's just continue.
All right. So going back to you saying that you're claiming no absolute knowledge of knowing that the Earth is 100% a globe, I think gives the audience already an indication that you don't know if the Earth is an actual globe. You just believe it to be so with a high probability. That is a problem based on those who are explaining that the Earth is a certain set size of dimensions, right? It's got a radius, got a diameter, a circumference. All these numeric values have been established according to your paradigm with knowledge that actually is already something determined by the size of the Earth. Now, if you're saying there's a high probability of it being that, then how can we know that the Earth is a globe with these values? Go ahead.
Yeah, so whenever I say something like no, I'm referring to a high degree of probability, right? So when I say that I know the Earth has a radius of roughly 4,000 miles, what I'm saying is that with a high degree of probability, I'm confident that this is the state of affairs of the world, right? That the Earth actually does have that many, a radius of 4,000-ish miles, right? That's what I'm always saying when I use words like no, when I use words like well, not necessarily believe. There are things I believe that have lower probability, but that's what I'm saying. So if you're going to make the claim that I don't know the Earth is a globe, well, by that same definition, I don't, by your definition of no, of some sort of absolute certainty, which is like a crazy epistemic lack of humility, but then in that sense, I don't know that I have hands. But I would say I know that I have hands because I have a high degree of credence in something that is absolutely, or that is likely to be true rather. A high degree of credence, justification in a proposition that I believe is true. That's what I define to be knowledge. So if you are complaining about the way that I'm using no, and you're complaining that it doesn't agree with the way that you're using no, I would suggest that you take a look at your own worldview and then ask, how can you get out of the ultra nihilistic worldview if you require absolute certainty about everything? Because if you require absolute certainty, just like India was failed to do, you can't get out of ruling out that you don't live in a vat, that you're not a brain in a vat, right? Because you can't know that this isn't a hallucination with 100% certainty anyway. You can't know that you have hands with 100% certainty anyway. And if you're going to claim that you do know that, then you have to provide justifications. And I'm just going to ask, how do you know that with 100% certainty for every single one of your claims? And you'll either end up in an infinite regress, which you won't be happy with, or you'll end up with something that's not justified and then you don't know it. So I think that it's actually probably better. You should probably take the move that, yeah, we can be epistemically humble and recognize that there are some things that we're not 100% certain about. In fact, most things that we're not 100% certain about. And that's fine. That's a fine standard for knowledge.
You done?
Yeah, I talked for like 30 seconds. You talked for like 4 minutes.
I don't think so. Your word count far exceeded mine. Anyways,
I talk faster.
Yeah, that's why it exceeded mine. All right, so the problem that we're having here is that from the beginning of the conversation, from you even entering this chat, from you being a PhD of any whatever you do, right, field that you work in, you're not able to substantiate or provide any evidence with unequivocal proof that the Earth is an actual globe. So you don't have that based on your worldview and epistemology of what you're saying that the Earth is. So all we're left with at the end of the day is your best guess. Well, tell you what, so does everybody else that thinks that the Earth is a globe. We're only given their best guess. That's all we have. And at the end of the day, we're trying to figure out if it actually is or not a globe. And you, being a PhD that other people look up to and appeal to, are one who cannot prove with 100% that the Earth is a globe. So that to you and to everybody else that looks up to you is going to feel like you left them wanting more. That's you, though. You can walk away from this stage today knowing that you didn't provide evidence that the Earth is an actual globe. You just gave a high probability that your idea could be a case of it being true if an imaginary globe were to exist. That's it.
So, to be clear, you're right. I didn't provide proof because we didn't make a deductive argument. I did provide evidence. The Minos experiment is evidence. It's actually really compelling evidence. In fact, it's so compelling that it should shoot your credence like way up into the 99.9 etc% credence for a particular view. Like it's wildly compelling evidence for basically anybody who thinks and takes themselves seriously. So you're right. I don't offer unequivocal proof when we're doing science because that would be epistemically arrogant. And one of the businesses of doing science is that we remain epistemically humble so that we are open to new data. We are open to new ideas. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't come to a conclusion that is very, very, very likely to be true. That's the whole business of science. We refine. We get to more and more likely to be true ideas. But if you're going to come and make the claim that, oh, you can't come to absolute certainty about anything, well, I challenge you. Proof with absolute certainty. Provide the proof, not evidence. The proof, the deductive proof that you have hands.
Yeah, I can give you a deductive proof of something
Please.
with absolute certainty.
No, prove that you have hands.
I'm gonna use a different example.
No, I want you to prove that you have hands.
Yeah, I'm not going to use your example. You can
okay, so you're going to run away. Prove that, so you can't prove that you have hands? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, I'm going to use. Yeah, I can.
Okay, then do it.
So it's simple. I have hands, right? And let's say we meet in person because this is going to be an example you want me to prove to you, right? I put my hand on your shoulder. I can push you with my hand. I can show other people my hands, and I can move things with my hands. They interact with the world outside that I'm interacting with. So they interact with the world, right? Anything that my hands touch, make it seem like my hands can do things that if I didn't have hands, I couldn't do. So me having hands proving to you and to the rest of the world is an absolute truth. It's not just me conjuring up an imagination that I have hands. It's absolutely provable by me demonstrating that I have hands because I can place my hand on your shoulder and move you with my hands. My hands are real in every sense of the word real is. Now, you denying that fact and saying that it's just a conjuring of your imagination, it's just some fallacious reasoning that you've fallen into because you've been thinking about how people can think of an existence far beyond the one that you have right now. So this is your mental construct that you've fallen into, and it's a pitfall. Right? So that's you, not us.
So I wrote down what you said, and I think I summarized it. So you have premise 1, I can put my hand on your shoulder, I can push you with my hand, I can show other people my hand, they interact with the world outside. Premise 2, me having hands is absolutely provable. Conclusion, my hands are real. Now, what inference rule are you using there to come to the conclusion that my hands are real from premise 1 and premise 2?
These are absolute facts. They're statements made by observation and
what's the inference rule?
So what am I inferring?
Well, so a deductive proof starts from premises and follows some sort of inference rule to come to a conclusion. So what's the inference rule that you're using to go from premise 1, I can put my hands on your shoulder, premise 2, me having hands is absolutely provable, conclusion, my hands are real.
So you're saying that hands aren't real. That would be your
nope,
argument
that's not what I'm saying.
Having hands. So the point is, in reality, if I say I have hands and I don't have hands, that'd be a problem. But if I say I have hands and I do things with my hands and I can see my hands and I can move things with my hands and they interact with the world outside, then yes, I have hands. So all intents and purposes, my hands do exist and they're real.
So what's the first premise of your deductive argument?
My hands exist in the physical world.
My hands exist in the physical world. Okay,
Yes.
what's your second premise? I'm just writing it down.
My hands can move things in the physical world. They not only do they exist in the physical world, but they can move things.
Okay,
they can interact with the physical world.
Premise one, my hands exist in the physical world. Premise two, my hands can move things in the physical world. Are there more premises, or is it just a conclusion now? What's the next stage?
When you're interacting with the physical world and everybody can see,
is this
that
a premise or is this a conclusion?
Yeah, if you see that your hands are existing, then the conclusion would be that because you substantiated, you didn't just say that you had hands.
If you see that your hands,
you didn't just test that you had hands. You also,
then you can substantiate that you have hands.
So let's put it this way. If I say I see a dog outside, right? But I didn't prove that there was a dog. If I listen, dude, if I said that there was a dog outside and I didn't prove that there was one outside, then that's me showing that it's just in my imagination. I could have conjured it up in my own thoughts. But if I can show you there's an actual dog that's outside, then it's not in my imagination any longer. We're interacting with the thing that I said was there. It is actually there. There is a dog outside.
Just to be clear, so you have premise one, my hands exist in the physical world. Premise two, my hands can move things in the physical world. Premise three, if you see that your hands are existing, then you could substantiate that you have hands. What's the conclusion of the deduction?
My hands are real.
Okay.
Not in imagination of my.
So we have three premises. We have three premises in the conclusion. What's the inference rule that allows you to go from premise one, premise two, and premise three to the conclusion?
Dude, I mean, is this going to be more of you just trying to say that, what am I inferring to say that my hands are existing?
Well, no, the point is you're not capable of making a deductive argument. In fact, you don't even know what a deductive argument is. Yeah, you failed to do that twice now.
Your hands are real, dude. Your hands are real. You can clap your hands. You make a sound.
They definitely seem real. That means they're real.
No, they definitely seem real. Well, they are real, dude. You fall into the pitfall of thinking imagination is the only thing you can hold to.
What's the deductive argument?
That your hands interact with the physical world. Now think about it like this.
That's a proposition. That's not an argument.
Yeah, that's really. So you're saying that if I'm telling you that my interaction with the physical world is not real, then where does that leave us?
AV, to quote a friend, I don't think you have the boots for this hike. You really shouldn't be engaging in like philosophical absolutism.
You don't have the boots for this hike doesn't mean that you can't substantiate the thing that you're saying. I am.
No, I just don't think that you know what a deductive argument is. I don't think that you know what it means to come to absolute conclusions from premises. I don't think you know what any of that means.
It's an absolute conclusion that if I tell you I have hands, think about it like this. It's very basic and simple, right? If somebody says they have something, like, oh, I don't know, they say, I have a rock. And you're like, you don't have a rock. And then they hand you a rock and you inspect this rock and you see it and you're like, oh, it is a rock. By definition of what you said a rock is, this is what this is. I'm holding it in my hands. It's not an imagination that I just conjured up. It's not these boots that I'm trying to hike up a mountain of imagination. No, this is an actual rock. These are my actual hands. And when I interact with the world in the physical sense, I'm moving things physically. This is not some kind of mental construct that you're making up to make it sound like these are all just our thoughts. No, there's real things that exist outside of your own perception.
Can you describe to me what a proof is?
Oh my gosh, dude. Like, what do you think the world that you live in is, dude? You think it's a simulation? You think all of these things that you're doing right now are just
this is called an internal critique is what we're doing right now.
Yeah, an internal
critique of your worldview.
Yeah, you haven't done one of yourself. Why would you allow it to be done on something that's absolute statements? Like,
so are you telling me that you're not willing to be internally critiqued?
I have been. You have been doing that. Now let's shift the focus back onto you. Let's shift it.
We can shift the focus. I just want to summarize what happened.
I'm shifting it now to you.
So we can shift.
It happened that I proved my hands were real.
Maybe we can shift it really quick. I just want to summarize what just happened. So what happened is that AV failed to understand what a deductive argument is. Failed to demonstrate that the argument he provided was actually leading to the conclusion via valid inference rule. So he actually didn't demonstrate with 100% certainty that his hands are real. He doesn't even know how to do that even in principle.
Yeah, really.
So it's fine if you don't know how to do that. You can be epistemically humble like me and be not an absolute.
You wouldn't know
non-absolutist about truth.
And
we can go ahead and you can
have to take a reset. Sorry to interrupt. We're going to have to try to get it back on topic. Maybe move past this particular thing. Right. So we've already established you think you can't prove anything. AV has a different opinion on that. Let's try to get it back to the actual shape of the Earth topic.
So the shape of the Earth is something that's been proposed to the people of the Earth. And everybody who's listening to the information that the Earth is an actual globe don't really know if it's a globe or not. And this gentleman who's a PhD will just go into, the logical circles.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry to interrupt. DJ, he's doing meta again.
I'm not going to interrupt because I can do what I want.
He's doing the meta again.
The meta is actually you trying to come into this room.
He's doing the meta again. He's saying, oh, he doesn't actually know. He doesn't actually know because his epistemology is bad. Like he's just doing that again. I thought we were trying to get away from that.
Yeah, no, we're not. We're going to stay on the fact that you don't understand.
Are we going to provide evidence?
Because your whole worldview.
DJ, I thought you wanted us to provide evidence. This should be,
your whole worldview is based on not providing evidence, bro.
Okay.
Yeah, your whole worldview is based on not providing evidence.
AV, just a second, guys. Yeah, we do need to take a reset. If we have to take turns, we will, right? So, I mean, let's present evidence, right? Evidence for the globe, evidence for the flat Earth. Right? Who wants to go first?
It sounds like AV wants to go. So go ahead, AV.
All right, so evidence for the Earth being flat, the affirmation is water always is horizontal on its surface when in large bodies and at rest. So we can observe this simple fact in physics. So we can demonstrate that water holds surface tension on its surface when extended in large bodies. And when there's no motion on it, like any wind or anything, we're going to notice that there's a horizontality that's displayed. And not only can it be displayed, but it can be measured across. So this surface is a horizontal surface, and it can be shown in like calm lakes that are placid. We can see that this is shown in the example that Indio was given earlier to you with the specular reflection that he was trying to demonstrate within the Salt Lake flats that they were showing the water is horizontal on its surface. Now, his analogy was that water itself is horizontal. And so he was using that, and then not just specific, but in any case, right? So any case in any body of water. So he was just using the salt flats as a particular example, but in any place that people have bodies of water that are calm, they can go witness this effect, right? Where the surface of water is always horizontal and creates a specular reflection that mirrors perfectly the image of the thing that is represented. Now, of course, it might look a little bit distorted because of like the little rippling of it, but it shows a mirror surface, not to be as a convex surface would, with it being like the surface of a globe. Now, the surface of a globe would then have to be something that would be determined based on like the distance between the observer and the target distance, and then the reflection that's on the water to be such that if it was not the case, or if it was, it would have to be determined with the specular reflection of that surface of the water, displaying whether the surface of the water was displaying a mirrored surface, a convex specular reflection. So that would have to be proven, and has never been proven. All we see is a perfectly mirrored surface from what we see of the water of a calm lake or body of water. It doesn't have to be salt flats, by the way. So all of these things amount to the Earth is a horizontal surface, and water extends as far as the eye can see, and it is a definition for why we would say the Earth is a horizontal plane. That's the evidence right there. It's staring you in the face, and it always has been. So for you to say that it's a globe,
can I address that?
Prove the contrary.
Yeah, so I wrote down everything that you said. You said water is always, and so I'm just going to read through what I wrote down, so please correct me if I missed something, okay? Is that fair?
Go ahead.
Right, so you said water is always horizontal when in large bodies at rest. You said that you can observe it in physics, something about surface tension. You kind of mumbled a little bit, so I didn't catch the bit about surface tension. I assume you mean that when you have small things, you can have surface tension making things not horizontal. You said when the water is not moving, the horizontality is displayed and it can be measured. You say that you can see this in placid lakes. Then you mentioned the specular reflection with the Bolivian salt flats and how that is an example of horizontality. You said that in any place where bodies of water are calm, the surface is always horizontal and perfectly mirrors things above it, but it might be a bit distorted. You said that it's not convex like you would expect on a globe, and then you say that it's never been proven that it's slightly convex or whatever. You always see a perfectly mirrored surface. So is that a correct summary of your argument?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. So just a quick question. So. Would you say that there is ever motionless water on the Earth?
Motionless water? I don't know what that means, motionless.
Because you said no motion, right?
I said calm.
Earlier, you definitely said the phrase no motion. I wrote it down. You said when there's no motion on the water, horizontality is displayed.
Yeah. So I mean calm.
Okay, so
calm will display the least amount. So
if there's no waves in the ocean, would that be calm?
I did also, yeah. So you told me to interrupt you whenever you're saying something. So what I meant was calm. So calm would also mean that if the least amount. So like on a day where there's like hardly any wind, like images that are being displayed right now in the text, that sort of thing.
So would you say the ocean is ever calm?
Yeah, we're not talking about ocean.
Okay, so we're not talking about the ocean. So we're only talking
No. What I said was large bodies of water. So wherever there's large bodies of water and water being at rest. Notice the thing that I'm saying.
Sure.
Don't say things that are not what I'm saying.
I was just clarifying. So this doesn't apply to the ocean.
No, it does, but it's not at rest.
So this whole discussion about water always being horizontal doesn't apply to the ocean.
It's water. So water.
I understand it's water. My question is,
of water are not going to. It's not going to. The mechanics of water don't deviate from body to body. So all we're doing right now is examining when it's calm.
Right. Okay. So but do we agree that the ocean's never calm?
Well, yeah, it's always stirred up, of course.
Okay. So we can't use the ocean to demonstrate this, right?
No, we can.
But I thought we just agreed that the ocean was never calm.
Yeah. No, the ocean's not calm. It doesn't mean that it's not horizontal.
But the argument that you proposed, the evidence that you proposed, only says that horizontality appears when there's no motion.
No. I'm talking about when it displays itself as a calm surface, then you can see the horizontality. But when it's like moving around, you can see waves and stuff. You're going to be like, wow, we have waves. So then that's going to cause an issue for the argument.
So we can't use the ocean for this argument. I'm trying to help you here, by the way.
I'm trying to help you.
When can you use the ocean for an argument?
I'm helping you. So what I'm talking about is water is being measured when it's like when it's calm, right? So we say, okay, we're gonna put over calm water, we're gonna throw like lasers or whatever on top of it, and then measure from point A to point B. But water, the mechanics of which will always, the properties of water, right, will always remain the same body to body. Doesn't matter.
What are these properties?
Just because a lake is in motion or it's windy out doesn't mean that all of a sudden the lake is not horizontal.
Well, hold on. So I mean, like clearly, if there's waves, it's not horizontal, right?
No. Do you get what I'm saying though?
No, that's why I asked another question.
So if we're saying that when we're looking at a horizontal surface, right, like the body of water, and then there's wind that occurs, like you're going to be able to say, well, there's wind that's rippling over the water, so to say it's a perfectly horizontal surface, we're not going to be able to use it. But from measuring from point A to point B, the distance of which you're going to be able to ascertain whether or not the Earth is a curved surface, right? Like we're going to measure over this water, we're going to notice that the horizontality will always remain intact. So line of sight will always be something that we include over the body of water.
Hold on, now I'm confused. Are we talking about the water, or are we talking about like shooting lasers over the water?
Yeah, water displaying itself as a horizontal surface, and when we test, right, with either line of sight or lasers or any other type of thing that we're going to use to measure a distance, we're going to be able to say, okay, over the surface of this horizontal water, because we want to see if what we're doing is correct or not, right? We want to measure and test and verify that the horizontal water that we're seeing is not just maybe a conjuring up of our imagination as you might think it could be. So we're going to verify this. We're going to test and measure with line of sight. We're going to be able to say, okay, from me to the target distance that I want to put here, I'm going to see if the Earth would be displaying any convexity whatsoever, like in the case of the Earth being a globe. So if it is,
I understand what you're saying. I understand.
So
I understand what you're saying. Please, like I was just trying to get clarity. Can we run these tests? Can we evaluate whether or not a body of water is horizontal when the water is in motion? Can we do that?
Well, this has been kind of the thing that people have looked into when they try to figure out what sea level means. So
can you just answer my question with a yes or no?
Yeah, if people are trying to figure out what sea level is,
that was a yes or no question.
Average, yeah, listen to what I'm saying, dude. It's going to be the average of the.
Can the answer start with yes or no?
Yeah. So you just want me to answer you specifically without?
I want you to answer that question. Yeah. I'm trying to ask a clarifying question, and you're not clarifying at all. You're adding more confusion. So I just want a yes or no. Is it the case that you can use like water that's in motion to determine that the Earth or that the water is horizontal?
Yes.
Okay, you can.
Yes.
So if the water, so in the presence of large waves, like I don't know, a tsunami, would you say that the water is horizontal?
Yep.
Okay. What do you make of tides then?
Those are long period waves.
Sure, but then the water's not horizontal, right? It's higher in some places than in other places.
Yeah, well, think about it like this: as you pour more water on a surface, and as it accumulates, it's going to raise in volume. It's going to increase, and it'll decrease. But
are you saying that with tides we're adding water?
The way it rises. No, like we're talking about the rise and fall of tides, rise and fall.
Well, I'm just asking, like, how is it horizontal if it's higher in some places than in other places?
Yeah, because water's evenly distributed on its surface. It's evenly distributed. So as it's raising, think about it like this. Well, just think about it like this, right? Think about it like this. If you put water, yeah, can you think? Just hold on for a second, dude. Can you hold your tongue for just a moment? So if you're thinking about like filling up it doesn't matter, like a swimming pool full of water, that water raises equally in all parts of it, right? It's all raising equally. Are you saying that at one point of that pool, that water is like higher or lower than another?
Well,
think about it like that.
No,
that's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm. That's what I'm saying.
Sure. I understand, but tides would be like if there was like a lump of water on one side of the pool and a divot of water on the other side of the pool, and then they kind of just swapped places.
You said that.
That's what tides are, right?
Yeah. How did you prove that?
Well, we know that it's high tide in some places when it's low tide in other places, right?
How do you know that? How do you know the difference? How do you know the difference is going to be that unbalanced?
Well, and it's not, no, I mean you can just so like you can go to the ocean and you can observe the water gets higher and the water gets lower with the tides, right? We agree that tides are real, and then you can call somebody in a different place in the world where their high tide is your low tide, and then you can be like, huh, my water is at the low point and your water is at the high point, and then you can wait on the phone for 6 hours and see that your water is at the high point and their tide. You can just call someone. What?
Yeah,
you can just go to the ocean.
Someone, the distance in between the two observers.
I'm not talking about the distance. I'm just saying they're far away.
I am.
The distance is relevant. They're far.
So yeah, no, it's not. It's totally relevant because what you're doing here is you put one person in one specific geographic location, put another person in another geographic location, right? You got two people standing on two different geographic locations. Now, what we have here is either you might believe it's a curved surface or it's a horizontal.
No, this has nothing. No, this has nothing to do with the actual shape of the Earth right now. I mean, it does, but it does, but only because it shows that it can't. That the water isn't flat.
If it does, you need to engage.
So, but the point is the distance isn't relevant. The point is we agree that there are places. Wait, hold on. I just got to make sure that we live in the same reality here. Do you think that there are places that have high tide at the same time as other places having low tide?
Yeah, that does exist.
Okay, so that's all I'm talking about. And then they swap every 6 hours.
Yeah, but what's your point?
It's the same water. How can you have...
Yeah.
So this would be like a pool having a lump of water on one side and a dip of water on the other side, and they're just swapping places every few hours.
How did you prove that? That's what you're saying. How did you prove?
It's the same ocean. It's all the same water.
All we can see,
how did I prove what?
The basic mechanics of water is that water is evenly distributed. So it doesn't ever show what you're saying. What doesn't ever show what you're saying is true. We never observe that in the mechanics of water. Do you ever observe a hill of water on one side and a divot on the other?
What I'm saying is that's what we're doing when we observe tides.
Yeah, that's what you say, but you haven't proved it.
So what do you think? What do I need to prove here? I mean, you agree that tides.
There's a divot on one side and there's a hump on another.
Right. Okay. So we can agree that there's high tide in one place and low tide in another place at the same time, right?
Yeah, evenly distributed. Yep.
But then they swap.
Who cares? They're evenly distributed. There's no hump and divot.
Hold on. If the water gets lower somewhere, right? Yeah. That means that if it was evenly distributed, it should get lower everywhere, right?
It's moving. It's evenly distributed, moving.
Wait, what's moving?
The water.
So the water was high here and then it got lower. So you mean there was a hump and then the hump moved?
No. You're saying hump and divot. I never said that. I'm saying
so what's the thing that's moving? If it's evenly distributed, look. So AV, using your example, when you fill up a pool, if it's not windy and so on, when you fill up a pool, it rises everywhere at the same time, right?
Yes.
But when the high tide goes, or when the low tide, I don't know what it's called when it goes out, when it goes from low tide to high tide, that's not happening everywhere. In fact, in some places, when you're going from low tide to high tide, somewhere else is going from high tide to low tide. So it's not doing like what the pool is doing.
So if water, let's put it this way: if water is not evenly distributed, which is what you're saying it's got a hump and a divot. Prove it.
I just did.
No, you didn't. Saying that there's a hump and a divot doesn't prove that there's one.
Maybe I can explain this a little bit better.
I want to see it in the mechanics of water, bro.
Let me use an analogy. So I proved that it happens. Now, if you don't understand how it happens, that's on you.
No, you didn't. No, you did not prove that it happens. You just said it does.
Let me use an example that is perfectly. Let me use an analogy that is perfectly in line with a pool, right?
So
let's say that you and I.
Wait.
I'm not going to wait. Let's say that you and I. I'm doing that right now. I'm doing it right now.
Guys, we need to reset again. Okay, so
analogy.
So let's say that you and your friend are standing in a pool of water. You can't see what's going on at your friend's side, maybe because there's like, I don't know, maybe I don't know, there's something blocking your vision from seeing the other person's side of the pool. But you and your friend are on the phone, And you notice that the water is only touching your belly button. And for them, it's touching, I don't know, it's touching their neck. And then slowly but surely, you're still on the phone with your friend. And over the course of a few hours, the water is no longer touching your belly button. Now it's touching your nipples. And for your friend, the water is now at their nipples, not at their neck, right? So the water has gone up for you and gone down for them. So what explains the water changing level in different directions for the two of you?
You done?
Yeah, that was a question.
Yeah, it just moved from one place to the other.
The water moved from one place to another?
Yeah, it's just moving around. It's not getting a
So
hump
is it
or dip.
level?
It's evenly distributed. Yes.
So it's
evenly distributed.
but it's not level
what?
because it's
But you
higher in
didn't
one
prove
place
it.
than it is in the other
You
place.
didn't, but yeah, well,
I can actually, yeah, okay.
Prove there's a
okay.
hump and
I'll
prove
give you a
there's
deductive argument.
No, wait a minute. Wait. No, I need you
Yeah,
to
I'm
prove
going to give you a
that there's hump
deductive
and
argument that proves it. I'm going to give you a deductive
Go ahead.
argument. So premise one, at time 0, the water level is lower for me and higher for my friend. I'll actually write this down as we go, okay? So premise 1, at time 0, the water is low for me and high for my friend. Premise 2, at time 1, let's say, the water is high for me and low for my friend. Premise 3, if the water was horizontal the entire time, then when the water went from low to high for me, from low to high for me, it should also, or it also goes from low to high for my friend. Conclusion, the water is not, or was not, horizontal the entire time. So which of the 3 premises do you disagree with?
You've conjured up some kind of idea that the water is not horizontal, and I want you to tell me how it's not horizontal.
So which premise do you disagree with?
Yeah,
I can read them
I
again.
disagree with your fact that you're saying that the water is not
Premise.
evenly distributed, and it's showing that some way there's a hump and then there's a divot. I want
Okay,
you to
so-
prove that. You haven't done so, and you're,
I
you're trying
just
to.
did it. It was a deductive
wait a minute.
argument.
No, you didn't do it. No, that
I did.
deductive argument. Oh yeah, how did you prove it in physical reality? Did you go
You asked for
outside
a
and
proof.
verify this?
You asked for
Did
a
you go
proof.
outside- Yeah, proof is
This is a
verifying
proof.
this information. You didn't prove it.
I don't think you know what proof
You
is.
just keep saying. No, I don't think you
So-
know what proof is.
So
you didn't
do
go
you,
outside.
Do
Did you verify this outside? Did you go
Have
to
you
the
ever-
field and test this?
So-
Did you go to
so
the
do you
field
know-
and test this? Did you
just
go
to
to
be
the field?
clear-
Answer my question, dude. Did you go to the field and test this?
Yes. Now, just to be clear.
When? When? Yesterday.
When? Now, just to be clear, AV,
No,
do you know
no,
what
you
a
didn't
proof
do
is?
it. No, that's a lie. He's lying.
Do you know what a proof is?
He's lying. Nope. You're going to stand by
Can you
what
answer the
you
question?
just said.
Do you know what
went
a proof
out
is?
yesterday and you tested it.
Yeah, can you prove that I
You
didn't?
said that. Yeah, because you're not giving the
How
methodology
can you
by
prove
which
that I
you tested
didn't?
it.
How can you prove that I
didn't show
didn't?
the
Did you go
methodology.
outside
Show
and
the
check that I wasn't
methodology.
outside yesterday?
Show the methodology.
I'm sorry, can you
Show
prove
the
that I didn't?
Yeah, show the method. I'm asking you to show
No,
the method.
you asking a question isn't proof that I didn't. Anyway, so do you
Yeah,
disagree
it's
with
showing
premise
that you didn't
1?
provide a method. You didn't provide a method.
AV, this is
Blitz,
really
you
embarrassing
didn't
for you.
provide
You
a
can't
method.
even engage
Blitz,
with the
you
premises.
didn't provide the method.
So
Blitz,
AV,
provide the method.
AV, premise
Provide
1
the
is
method.
at time 0, the
Blitz,
water is
provide the
low for me and high for my friend.
Blitz.
Is
Yeah,
that possible?
so what, dude? You keep
Okay.
saying things, but
Premise
you didn't
2.
provide the method of how you
At
ascertain
time
that
1, the water is high for me and low for my friend.
Still doesn't. You're still not.
Do you agree with premise
You're
1 or
just making
premise
more
2?
claims. You're still making more claims. You didn't prove it. You did not prove it.
These are premises. Do you know what a premise is?
Yeah, you did not prove it. You didn't go out into the field.
I
and
don't
test
think you're
whether-
equipped to
and
have a
test whether your
conversation
friend- yeah,
that
I
involves
do.
deductive
This is
reasoning.
equipped. Listen, dude. Your friend.
Do you know what deductive reasoning
yeah,
is?
Listen, the only thing that your friend and you can do is
Do you-
test locally.
This is really embarrassing.
What I'm saying.
Please tell me that this isn't the second best of what the Flat Earth had, because if you don't know what deductive reasoning is, this is real bad.
And your friend are testing locally what the water's doing. And
Do you
in
want me
that
to draw
local
you a
surface,
picture?
It doesn't matter, bro. The evenly distributed water where you and
Do you
your
want me to
friend
draw you a
testing
picture? I can
is
draw you a
horizontal
picture.
on
Let
the
me draw you a
surface.
picture.
It is not
I'm gonna
a
draw a
hump
picture.
of water and a divot on the other side.
I'm gonna
That
draw
is
you a picture.
yours. That is your claim. That is what you're saying is happening, and it's not that way. You didn't prove it. You didn't go to the field and test it, which you lied about, and you said you did. I did yesterday. That's what you said.
Can you
Just to
prove
move the
that I didn't?
conversation forward.
Can you prove that I
didn't show
didn't?
the method. You didn't show the
The
method.
burden of proof isn't on me, buddy.
Speaking,
prove that I
yeah,
didn't?
it is. The burden
Oh,
of
it
proof
is?
solely square on your shoulders. You didn't provide the evidence that you actually had a method to test what you said is true. You didn't go onto the field and test it, did you?
Can you prove that I didn't?
Did you? Provide the
I'm sorry,
method.
can you prove that I didn't?
Yeah, validate the method in which you did this, and then I'll say, okay, maybe you did do it. But what's the method?
Hold on, I have a picture for you.
No, I don't care about your picture. Go into the field and test this. What was your method?
1 sec. Me?
1 sec.
Sorry,
You
I'm
had the
typing
answer.
something.
You and your friend didn't test anything. You saw
No,
in
I
your
actually,
local area.
in fact, I actually went to space yesterday.
Oh my God. Whatever, dude. See, is this the best you got? You're a PhD. You should be ashamed of yourself, bro.
Yeah, so
Saying the things that you're saying.
no, I'm actually very confident, very proud of what I'm saying. Here, I have a picture for you. Let me copy and paste it
I
into
don't care
chat.
about your picture, dude. You lied
I
about
know.
testing
You don't
water.
care about things that debunk your worldview.
You lied about
Here, so I
testing
sent a
water
picture.
on its surface.
Yeah, I
lied
made it up just so then I could actually bring up the
Yeah,
point that I
that's
was talking
great.
about.
I'm glad you made a
Absolutely.
little picture. I'm
So
glad
here's the picture.
I'm glad you're
this
great
is
at
what's
drawing
happening.
with crayons, bro.
Right. So
Yeah,
this is
how did you
not with crayons.
validate
I don't know
that?
if you know what crayons are.
How did you validate that?
So
how did you validate that?
this is what tides do. Do you not agree that
Who
tides
cares
move
what
up
your
and down?
explanation is, Blitz?
Do
How did you and your friend test this?
you think that tides go up and down?
How did you and
This
your
is just
friends
tides.
test
This
in
is-
the
this is a
field
model
that
for
this is
tides.
true? That's great.
I've seen
How did you and your friend
tides
test that this
before,
is
and I've
real?
talked to people who have also seen tides before. Have you seen tides
That's
before?
wonderful. That's wonderful. You saw a tide locally. How did you and your friend test that image? Let me show everybody. Look at the image he just posted. A PhD.
Yeah, it was a drawing that I put together in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's a drawing that he posted.
Yep.
Did he go out
To
in the
illustrate
field?
a point.
Ask him this. I want to see if the
Yes, I've been out in the field seeing tides. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you test this specific diagram?
Did I test that the tides are low at one point and somewhere else on the Earth?
Like
and
the
it's high where I
diagram
am?
that you posted. Yeah, the diagram you posted.
Yes, I have.
Okay.
I've talked with people. I've talked with people on the other side of the world
I've talked with people.
Yeah, and
I've
they
talked with people.
reported that it was high tide. What are you talking about? Of course. What else do you want me to do?
The method to test in the field is not talking to people somewhere in another geographic location.
That's how you can collect data from multiple different places at the same time. Or do you not think that's possible?
Yeah. How did you do it in the field? How do you know water
You can
is
just
doing
talk to
that
somebody.
exact thing? See where
Wait,
it
do you
says
not?
me?
Okay, just to be clear.
See where it says, no, hold on a minute.
All of the flat earthers
See
who
where
are
it says
listening
me?
to this. AV is currently denying the existence of tides. He's currently denying the existence of tides, that it can't be high tide in one place and low tide at the same place. Absolutely, because that's all this picture is demonstrating. It's just saying that there are high tides in some places at the same time there are low tides at other places. That's all you're doing.
You're demonstrating your inability to show how you tested the method by which you and your friend know that that's exactly what's happening, what you post in the diagram. You didn't.
To be clear, do you think that that's not what's happening? Do you think that like the tides don't go up and down?
I said it's evenly distributed. How many times have I said that to you?
Wait a minute. So when it's low tide for me and high tide for somebody else.
Yeah, you're showing something contrary to that. So I want to see the.
So just to be clear, hold on. I really need a straight answer from this because if you can't answer this, it's just
you haven't given a straight answer to the test.
I already did. I literally told you that I've talked to people while on the phone while experiencing low tide. So AV, I need a really straight answer from you. Okay, so you're going to avoid the question? Okay, if you're not interested in having a conversation, we can move on to another guest.
No, we're not, because you're not identifying to the audience how you tested in the field.
I've already elaborated on it now. If you don't want to engage with my question, then this isn't a conversation.
Yeah, you're only talking about. So this is your PhD.
You should answer the question. If you don't want to debate, that's fine. If you want to walk away with your tail between your legs,
you're walking away. You're the dog with the tail between his legs.
But if you can't even answer a question, my guy,
you tested this.
If you can't even answer a question, my guy, I don't know, man. It's embarrassing.
My guy. Yeah, you just said, hey, I'm going to call my friend over there in another geographic location. Yep. Therefore, it's exactly like my diagram. Yeah, you didn't test in the field, did you, Mr. PhD?
What does testing in the field mean except
that means going outside, brother. Then your feet touch sand.
Wait. I told you that I was on the beach when I did this, right?
Okay. So now what did you observe? Did you observe what
low tide.
Diagram showing?
I observed low tide,
Did you observe your little diagram?
Yeah, I observed low tide. And then the other guy, it was high tide.
I'm going to do this. I'm going to take what you posted as a little diagram.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to repost it for everybody here.
It's in the chat.
Let me ask Mr. PhD. This is what I posted for what he posted. He said this is occurring. Now I asked him again.
I mean, it's a rough drawing, but it's the rough idea.
Yeah, I don't care. How did he test that this is actually happening in the field?
Yeah, so it was low tide for me. It was the bottom picture. It was low tide for me, and then a high tide for my friend. And then we talked again later, and it happened to be around high tide. So then it was high tide for me and low tide for my friend.
So there's no validation.
What do you mean
no validation that this is the case? Yeah, you're not validating that this is happening.
That is validation. That's exactly what's happening. I didn't draw anything in between. This was like the ocean. This was the ocean.
In nature. Did you go out into the ocean?
This was the ocean.
You saw the ocean.
This was in the ocean. Yeah, I saw the ocean be lower for me and higher for him, and then higher for me and lower for him.
Did you?
Yeah.
You saw the ocean higher for me and lower for him? How did you observe that?
I mean, like, where you're at? Are you asking that? Did you want him to, like, video camera it to me? Like, he just told me,
I wanted you to video the whole... Yeah, show me the progress and the method by which you tested in the field that this is the case.
This is so dishonest.
Oh, this is
you just don't think... Wait, just to be clear, you just don't think that opposite tides can happen. You just don't think that opposite tides can happen. So to be clear, for everybody who's listening, for all the flat earthers who's listening, if AV is the second best you have, he's currently... I'm sorry, I can mic mug you. His best that he can do is he has to deny that high tides can happen at the same time as low tides and vice versa. He has to deny that, otherwise he can't hold on to his worldview.
I never denied that. I said the fact that you show that this is reality.
That's all the picture is.
This picture, I'm denying.
Hold on a second. AV, we're going to let AV respond to what you just said, right? You just accused him of a few things, right? So let's just have him respond to that. You said he denies tides and whatnot. So
I absolutely do not.
He denied a specific thing about tides, by the way.
Okay,
go ahead.
I absolutely do not deny tides are happening, right? And whether or not water is accumulating in one place and not in another, or however tides are occurring for your friend, that's great. I'm glad tides are happening, and you can call each other on the phone and gab about what tides are doing. You being a PhD and having a big brain, you hadn't resolved the fact that you're not testing actual nature, which should be this diagram that you're posting. Once again, your little drawing for everybody to see is actually the case. You didn't prove that's actually happening. You just called your homie and said, hey, homie, how's that water over there? Wow, I'm getting a low tide. How about you, sir? Oh, I got a high tide over here. Well, therefore, you know what I believe? I believe we're on an incline or a decline, depending on what you think.
Or it's some sort of lumpy thing. Just to be clear, and just to be clear, the picture that I drew, I'm not saying it's like a straight, like, linear path from high tide to low tide.
Oh, right.
It's just,
no, you're changing.
No, I mean,
now you're changing your diagram.
It was an illustration to illustrate the point that there is a non-level surface, right?
Non-level.
It could be smoother than that. It could be.
So it's not this. You're basically.
I mean, it could be smoother than that, but this is a diagram.
You're demonstrating that water's flat on its surface. It's just at an angle.
You know oh, wait, would this count as horizontal to you?
No, I'm saying, but you're saying that the water is flat on its surface. It's just it's running off into another something else. I mean, like, to your friend, you just.
I wouldn't say that this is like actually the real light shape. This is a diagram. No, this doesn't prove flat Earth.
Proving flat Earth.
I don't think so.
No, look at how flat the water is between you and your friend. It's just running off into a. You're pouring it out. I don't think that's the case, but.
So just to be clear, why does it go up and down in your view?
Up and down.
Yeah. Why does the water go up and down?
I have no explanation as to why it goes up and down. Do you know why it goes up and down?
I do. Yeah, I have an explanation.
Now, what is it?
Yeah, it's the moon and the sun's gravity.
How do you know that, sir? Explain.
Because it makes good predictions about the.
It makes good predictions. Yeah, how do you know it's true?
That's how we test
How do you know it's true? How do you know it's true?
It makes good predictions. That's how we test explanations.
So what? How many tides?
That's how you test explanations. You check if they make good predictions.
So how many predictions can you make using this?
The diagram or using gravity?
Using the idea that the sun and moon are causing these tides.
You can basically predict the tide at any place on the Earth at any time.
Yeah.
It's messy, but you can do it.
It's messy? Oh,
The
that's
math
your
is
great way of
tricky.
telling us that. That's your great way of telling us that the sun and moon are producing the evidence that they're causing tides. Ah, wonderful. Great job, Mr. PhD. Another round of applause and a great work that you proved that tides
That's some
are being
cool
caused by the sun and
grandstanding,
moon.
but like, you don't even have an explanation. My explanation
I
makes
don't
good
need one.
predictions.
I don't need one because your inability to provide
okay, so you don't
evidence
care
that
about
what you're
understanding
saying,
the world
your
around us,
inability, yeah, I do actually. But
Wait,
if I
you
can't,
do?
if I
So
don't know
understanding
something, if I
requires
don't know something,
explanation.
I have the humility to say I don't know. You on the other hand don't because
but
you're
I do
so
have an
prideful being a
explanation,
PhD.
and you're not interested in hearing about the explanation, right?
Yeah, your explanation doesn't mean anything if it can be tested in the
It
physical
can be
world,
tested.
which
It makes
yours
predictions,
can't.
and then you can go check that those predictions
Yeah,
are true.
really? Have you tested it?
Have I tested it? Oh, is that the standard?
Well, no. The standard is you're making a claim that these are so predictable.
Yeah,
Have
yeah.
you
So
predicted- have you tested it?
is the standard that I must have
Have you tested
completed
it?
all of science
Have
in
you
order to make
tested
any
it?
scientific
Have you
claims?
tested it?
Can you answer my question, please? Is that the
You have an
standard?
answer mine? You have an answer mine? Have you tested it?
I've tested that the tides can
Have
be
you
at different
tested it?
levels at different places. Yeah.
Yeah. So is it due
Now,
to
can you now answer my
gravitational
question?
pull of
Is
the
that the standard?
Is
Is that
it
the
due to
standard?
the gravitational
I'm not
pull of
answering
the-
another question until you answer my
You
question.
should. You should because it's a follow-up.
I'm sorry. I thought this was a conversation, not a railroad.
Yeah, it is. It's a
Okay, so then answer my
it's your
question. I answered
inability to
yours.
Provide evidence that the sun and moon are
I'm going to have to
causing
appeal to the mod here. DJ, I just answered his question. Can you ask him to answer mine?
tides. Aw. What was your question?
Let's go ahead. Take turns with the question each now.
What was your
Yeah.
question?
So
Cupcake?
my question is the standard for being able to make claims about scientific facts or scientific claims that I must have done the science myself? Is that the standard?
Yeah, it needs to be verified.
That wasn't an answer. It was a yes or no
It needs to
question.
have it needs to have the ability to be checked. So if you make a claim scientifically
Mm-hmm.
and it says it's something that was been done by somebody, then yes, validation is a key component.
So do I have to have done that validation?
You can. Is it possible that you
That wasn't
haven't
my
done
question.
it? Yes. It's
Do I
possible you
have to have
haven't
done it?
Yeah, it could be validated. Let's put it that way.
Can it be validated without me doing it?
Other people can validate it. Yes.
Okay. So if I just give you names of people who have validated this, would you believe me?
No, it has to be.
Or would you say that, have you done it?
It's not about a belief system. It's about me being able to check and validate what the work is. Because you tell me something,
Okay, sure.
might be somebody. Listen, you might be somebody who just believes on a whim. I'm not. I can say, wait a minute, let me see what effort has been done to prove that this thing that you're saying is true. So I want to check. Maybe you don't care about checking. I do. Does that answer your
Well, wait a
question?
minute. So
I
to be
wanna
clear,
check.
somebody makes a claim and then somebody checks that the prediction came true. But then you ask me if I did it.
Yeah.
Why does it matter if I did it if somebody else did
Because
it?
you stand with such confidence that it's true, and you don't know if it is or not by validation. That's why.
So then I do have to have done it myself, is what you're saying.
Well, if you want to say that you are absolutely sure that
I
whatever
never said
they're
I'm
saying is
absolutely
true,
sure.
Yeah, then you're just believing that it is, and that is not.
I have high credence in
That's
it.
a very.
I have high
no,
credence in a position, yeah.
So what? Yeah, but you
do you
haven't
mean, so what?
validated it. So yeah, so what?
So
You
okay,
haven't
so your
validated it.
position is
So
that I
in the
can't
methodology-
make any strong claims unless I've personally validated them. That's
No,
your position.
You can make whatever claim you like, but if it can't pass a methodology of being tested and validated and or falsified, then you really just have an idea. That's it.
Well,
And that's
but
good for you. You
if I
can
tell
have all
you
the ideas
that
you want
yes,
about
this has been
the European world.
validated elsewhere,
That's
but then
great.
you ask me if
That's
I've
your
done it.
opinion. That's your opinion. You can have all the opinions you like.
do you think it's an opinion that like somebody else ran an
Yeah.
experiment? That's an opinion?
Well, according to you, you haven't tested
What do you mean
it.
that's
How
what
would
do you mean
know?
according to me? I never said the word opinion.
Yeah, well, your
Okay, so
opinion as
just to be
well.
clear, even
I
though you
think
said it
the
doesn't have
I think
to
the
be
person,
me
I think the
that tested
person
it?
that's checked this out. I think the person that checked it out did what they should do, and they verified that. Yeah.
So just to be
they got it right.
clear, even though you said no, it doesn't have to have been me that tested it. You're saying now that it's just an opinion unless you tested it yourself.
Yes.
Okay, so have you ever been to Australia?
Dude, why do we got to talk about this? It's not
Avoiding
talking
the
about
question.
No, it's not. This is just like
this is
some
exactly
other
pertinent to
tactic.
that claim, by the way.
No, it's other tactic that you use, but I mean,
It's not a tactic,
gonna
it's a
be the
valid question. Have you ever been to Australia?
Nope.
Okay, how do you know it's there?
Well, I can only believe that it exists.
Okay, but so you would never come onto Alive and say that Australia exists because that would be irresponsible because it's just your
Yeah.
opinion.
Well, the problem here we're having is that it exists allegedly in the realm that we all exist. So if I tell you about a geographic location, right? I'll give you an example, right?
Mhm.
I'll say Middle Earth exists, and you've never been there, right? How'd you provide to me evidence that Middle Earth exists?
Well, I don't think it does. I wouldn't be able to provide you evidence.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is, I could say it's in the realm that we exist in. You haven't been there.
So, right, so,
Well-
okay, I see what you're doing. So you could say, oh, yes,
Well-
well, you haven't been there, but it does exist. I would be like, okay, like, are there like photos of this? Can I see it from satellites?
Yeah.
I would ask for
Yeah.
some sort of evidence. I wouldn't ask you to have
I got
gone there.
video evidence. I got
Okay, yeah, let's see it.
You know, there's a movie about it. You know, you can see the.
But we know
hobbits over there.
that Andrew Jackson produced those movies as fiction.
Okay.
So why would he take
So how
those
do you
as
know
piece of evidence for the real
Dude,
world?
Like this has nothing. What it amounts to is that you can ask any question you like about
Mhm.
what people say they know. They could say, well, I know to a certain degree because of
Yep.
where I live, right? But when I go and visit there, like let's just say my friend lives in Australia and he says, look, there's this beautiful plant that exists here, right? And I'm like, I don't know, man, like that plant that you're talking about. And he takes photos of it. He videotapes himself watching it grow and stuff like that. And it can seem very real to me, right? Until I go and verify it for myself, I will only have the understanding that what he's saying is true based on, like you said, a high degree of knowledge. But if
that's enough.
let's put it this way. Let's put it this way. If I cannot validate, this is a whole different side of things. If I cannot validate that what he's saying is true, that makes what he's saying unfalsifiable. So if you say anything that cannot be validated, makes it unfalsifiable.
So these things can be validated. Fortunately, the tide prediction models can be validated. You can just go run a tide prediction model and then go check what is the tide doing. So that is falsifiable, right?
That's not what we're looking into and what your premise was. You were talking about the sun and the moon's gravitational influence.
Yeah. So those tide prediction models take into account the position of the sun and the moon, and then they use Newtonian gravity to establish what the tides should be.
You didn't know if the cause relates to the effect, sir. So you're incorrect. You
I don't know if the sun and the moon cause the tides. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. You don't know that.
Well, one of the ways that we can validate the explanation is by making predictions with that explanation, right?
So
you make a prediction and then you check if the predictions come true.
So it's only a high degree of knowledge that you're going to be able to get to. It's not something that you know.
Yes, that's how we do science. We come to high degrees of certainty.
Yeah, based on what? Your subjective interpretation?
No, based off of evidence. Off of experiments.
What evidence, dude?
Observations.
What evidence? Observation. You just see the tides doing
observations
something.
And experiments.
Well, I think it's the sun doing this. No, I think it's the moon. Well, how do we know that? We don't know. We're just using our best guess, our subjective interpretation.
There's nothing subjective about making an
pulling on the water. It's
that's a cool straw man.
It's the Leviathan making whirlpools and pulling the water. Yeah, so you can never come to a conclusion based on your interpretation because it's subjective and it goes based
under your worldview. It's impossible to do science. Which if that's the worldview you want to hold, I guess by all means.
It's empirical and strict. It's getting people to realize that they don't really know what they're talking about. Like,
can you outline for me what the scientific method is? Like, what are the steps?
Yeah. So what we're going to do now is just talk about how you say that's not science. Science is what I think it is. It's my interpretation of the world based on my feeling. So I can do science by looking at planets.
Can you answer the question?
No, because it's a fruitless endeavor, dude.
Oh, so you're running.
No, it's not running. It's a fruitless endeavor. I'm speaking to a fallibilist. I'm speaking to a nihilist. I'm speaking to somebody who doesn't know what reality is.
Engage with a question sounds like
running to me, dude. No, what sounds like me not engaging with you about that topic is me actually going on a previous notion that you said you don't even know if your hands are real.
That's right. You don't know if your hands are real. I know that my hands are real.
No,
I never said I don't know that my hands are real.
You have a high degree of knowledge that they're real. Yeah.
I definitely know that my hands are real, though. Absolutely.
Yeah, with 100%.
Nope.
Yep, there you go. So then you don't really know. So you're like, I could have hands. I could be hallucinating hands.
Is to have a high degree of certainty.
I could be hallucinating hands.
That is justified.
That's all that's happening right now. I think I have hands. Maybe I don't. There's a
0.0001%
chance I don't have hands.
We're doing it again. But to be clear, you couldn't deductively prove that you have hands either. So we can go back to that if you want. But look, I mean, why don't we take a step back? It seems like when I ask you to actually do something empirical, try to do science at all, you retreat back into this. Oh, but you can't know with certainty. You retreat back into the metaphysical commentary because you can't actually engage with the scientific evidence.
Yeah, what is science, by the way?
Well, I actually asked you to outline the steps.
We're talking past each other when we're in regards to science. What is science, dude?
So before I give you my explanation, I have a PhD in physics.
I'm even asking the wrong guy.
I have a PhD in physics. Yeah.
What do you know about science?
Well, physics is a type of science. I don't know if you were aware.
I guess that's not relative to what I'm saying. What do you know about it? Like, you know a lot about it, or you just
science is a method
of what?
Well, I asked you this because I actually don't think you know what it is. Do you want to give me your best shot and then I'll tell you what it actually is afterwards?
You haven't. I don't know what you're talking about.
I actually laid it out with Indio. I laid out what the explanation, what the scientific method is with Indio. I actually think I did it with you like 30 minutes ago, but I don't know if you remember.
Well, what's your methodology? What are you just observing something? Are you hypothesizing first?
That's the second step. Okay, so first step is what?
No, you tell me. I'm asking you. What do you?
Well, no, you were asking. You were doing great. So what's the first step?
I don't care about doing great. I want you to tell me what it is.
First step is make an observation. Second step is propose an explanation for the observation. The third step is test the explanation by running an experiment or taking new observations that are predicted by your explanation. And the fourth step is to analyze your results.
Well, give me an example of one.
Of doing science?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So suppose that you observe that when you eat moldy bread, you get sick. Fine, that's an observation. Hypothesis. The mold produces toxins, and when you ingest those toxins, they make you ill. So, what would be a way to test this? Well, one way that you could test this is isolate the mold, and then feed it to a rat. Just the mold, no bread involved. Feed it to a rat and see if the rat gets sick. And if the rat does get sick, that would be evidence in favor of your hypothesis. So then you do the experiment, you see if the rat gets sick, you find that the rat actually does get sick, and you say, aha, so your analysis is, aha, as expected by the hypothesis that the mold is releasing toxins that makes me sick, it is the mold itself that is making other things sick as well. So it's not about me, it's not about bread, it's about the mold doing something. And that agrees with my hypothesis. So that would be evidence in favor of the hypothesis. That mold is what's causing the sickness.
What are the parts you put into this method? What are you using within the parts of the method of the scientific?
I just told you what the method was, and I told you what the method was, and I gave you an example.
So what are the variables that you're using here?
In this case, the independent variable is binary. It is there mold being given to the rat, or is there not mold being given to the rat?
Mm-hmm.
And the dependent variable is also binary. Does the rat get sick, or does the rat not get sick?
Okay, so you're saying that this method that you've talked about right now,
Mhm.
using these variables, are a great standard, or you're saying it's not a standard to use in anything that you've spoken of so far?
So the scientific method is very, very handy. Observation,
Okay.
hypothesis, observation, hypothesis, experiment, data. It does, like, it's a great method for coming to true things about the real world.
Okay, so what am I missing here? What have you talked about in the past?
I don't know. What are you missing?
Conversations with me or Indio that you've utilized this method on? Name one.
Well, so in a conversation, I'm not using the scientific method because I'm not doing science while having a conversation with people who are science
Okay.
deniers. I'm
So
talking
you're
about.
not doing science with science deniers? What is that?
Please, I was in the middle of a sentence.
Yeah,
I'm
it's a big
talking about
statement,
the
though.
conclusions that the scientific method has led us to.
Yeah. What did you use in the whole conversation with me and Indio that utilized
Mhm.
this method?
I wasn't claiming to use the scientific method in the
So
conversation.
no science is being used. According to you telling me what science is. Is that right?
I was describing the conclusions of the scientific method.
Yeah, based on what you said science is, you haven't done any science so far.
Yeah, I'm not doing science. We're talking about
All right,
results
then.
from the scientific method.
Right. So no science is being done whatsoever. So doing
that's
no
an
science
equivocation.
in any of you. Now you said so yourself.
So,
I'm not
so
doing
the scientific method wasn't being used. Absolutely. Saying no science was done. Well, science is a very broad thing. Science
What is
sometimes refers to.
You just
it's
said
really
what it
broad.
is. You
So
just said
no, I
what
told you
it
what the scientific method is. So
Okay,
the
so
scientific
what is
method
science
is the
then?
very specific thing that I gave you. Science, broadly construed, can be interpreted as the method, or it could be construed as the set of knowledge obtained by the method. There's kind of like two different senses in which it's used, and you're doing an equivocation fallacy by saying that when I said that I wasn't using the scientific method, that in fact I wasn't talking about the broad knowledge base obtained by science, by the scientific
Okay.
method rather.
What did you use? What did you talk about that used science?
So in the sense of science being the base of knowledge obtained from the scientific method, I referred to science in the form of the neutrino experiment, for example.
Okay, what science is being done? Go ahead. What science is being done?
At the neutrino experiment, you want me to like outline?
Yeah. Well,
How
I
that's
mean,
science?
if you say it's science, what is you said like you're making up now what science can be. You're going to redefine it and you're going to make it sound like, oh, it's what I say it is now.
Well, these are pretty
way of
standard
talking about
definitions.
science? Really?
Yeah.
It's not the systematic study of the physical world. It's now.
If you want to use that
conjuring up-
definition, that's fine.
Yeah,
I
that's what I'm
wouldn't
using.
really use that definition, but if you want to use that definition, that's fine. So we weren't studying the natural world while having a conversation. That's not how conversations work.
Okay.
Right?
So
We
we're
were
not
talking
studying the
about-
natural
we were
world.
talking about the natural world, right?
We're not studying the natural world.
We were talking
at
about
all,
what
so
other
we're not
people
doing
have.
science.
We were talking about what other people have done when studying the
not
natural
doing
world. Right. A conversation is not science. A conversation, you can talk about science.
I know what
you
a
can talk about other
conversation
people.
is.
I don't think you do.
I'm talking about the
You can talk about
content of
the
a
science that other
conversation,
people
the
have done.
things that you're talking about within the
So
conversation.
to be clear, we
are-
have talked about the science that
Oh
other
my
people have
God.
done. We've talked about the Minos experiment,
Yeah.
for example. Absolutely super relevant. We didn't do it, like none of us, neither you nor I, did any science in this conversation because, of course, we didn't. We're having a conversation. We're not out there like making
I
observations.
know
and
that,
taking data
dude.
and
Don't be
stuff.
pedantic about it. We don't have to get.
Why are you being pedantic about it then?
Yeah, because I want you to at least.
Oh, so you are being
explain how
pedantic about
in any of the conversation that you utilize
We
science
talked about science.
or the science.
I never claimed to use science in the conversation. I never made that claim.
Okay, so no science is being done here. So what is?
Yeah, of course we're not doing science. We're talking about
What is
science.
the reason? What is? Yeah. So we're talking about science. What science are you talking about? That's
Yeah, so,
being
for
done
example,
in anything you
The
said.
kind of science that I talked about earlier was particle physics, which is a kind of science.
Yeah, particle physics.
Mhm.
What does that entail? Telling people that the Earth is an oblate spheroid.
Well, the way that the particle physics experiment was set up requires that the Earth is an oblate spheroid.
Requires.
Or at least roughly
Wait,
spherical.
why?
Because otherwise they would have missed their target.
Well, how do you know that?
Because we know what direction it was pointed in.
Yeah,
And we
so
can do
what?
geometry.
How do you know it's an oblate spheroid? That's giving them the foundation for this.
By the way, I did clarify that it at least requires that there's some curvature. It could have been
Yeah, really?
that it's
How much?
curved there.
How much?
It
How
could be
much?
that it's curved there and then flat everywhere else, but that would be kind of weird.
How much curve?
Well, the curvature that they require for their experiment is about 1 degree of curvature every 69 miles.
Did you verify this?
Yeah, I've actually worked out the math myself.
Oh, the math. The math is reality. Yes.
So their experiment has a certain geometric configuration.
No, well, you're not answering my question though. Is it?
I
math
am answering your
reality?
question.
Is it math reality?
I actually think math is constructed. I'm not a a mathematical realist, if you will.
Well, there's a lot of those who would suggest that, but if
That's
you're
great,
not
but
that,
it's irrelevant. The point is that their detector and their collider, their detector and their emitter have known geometry, and so all that's required in order for them to hit their target, knowing that we know what the angle is, we know where these things are located, how deep they are under the ground, all that's required is to just do some math to see how much does it have to be curved in order for them to hit their target.
I'm going to use them because you're not putting yourself in the way. You're advocating for it, but they are begging the question that the Earth is an oblate spheroid, and their direction that they're pointing is going to give an outcome that's going to give them the biased confirmation that it is an oblate spheroid. How
Well,
ridiculous
so
is
they
that,
weren't.
dude?
Their goal
Circular.
wasn't to test the shape of the Earth. They were just
Oh,
using.
really? Well, they didn't do
yeah.
anything then in regards to the shape of the Earth. Then why are we even talking about it? Being
Because
one thing
the
that proves
fact
the
that
shape
they
of the Earth.
had the fact that they had to arrange the detector and the emitter in a certain way in order to obtain their result has implications about the way the Earth is shaped.
No, it's not. You said it didn't prove it, so it has no implications. Sorry.
What do you mean? I said. When did I say it didn't prove it?
Well, you said I said from the very beginning they already are conjuring that up within the test, saying that it has to be this in order for the outcome to be that.
No, that's me saying that it has to have some sort of
They weren't
non-horizontal
saying
structure.
that. They weren't saying
I
that.
don't know if they've ever had conversations with flat earthers where they have to
Oh,
have
for
that
God's sakes.
conversation.
All right,
so I don't know
I'm
if they've
asking for
ever said those words.
I'm asking for evidence of how the Earth is known to be
It's known to not
oblate
be flat,
spheroid.
and this experiment is evidence. the
No,
layout
it's
of the
not.
experience
You
is
just
evidence.
finished
Sure it is.
saying that they didn't prove that the Earth was a globe using this experiment, this test.
Well, to be
You
clear,
said so.
so what is true is that it could be that it's like curvy there and then not curvy somewhere else. But what it does show is it does show that the Earth isn't flat. Because
Wait
if it
a
was
minute.
flat, they would miss the
How
target.
do you know? How do you know it's proving that the Earth is a globe? This is the whole.
I never. So look, that's the point. I said that it doesn't. I said that I didn't say that it does. I said that it proves the Earth's not flat. It says the Earth's not. It proves the Earth's not flat.
No, dude, there's land topography. Okay, they could have
This
not
proves
accounted
that
for that.
this proves there's land topography. So
Yeah.
they would have. So if the Earth was flat, we can actually. Do you want to run the math right now? We can just figure out
Oh my
exactly
God. You
how
said you weren't a math
high the
guy.
topography
You
were.
weren't a math realist.
Oh no, I am. I'm a math. No, I'm not. I'm not a mathematical realist. Doesn't mean that I don't think math is useful. We can run the math right now. So they angled it down at 3 degrees, right? Roughly 3 degrees, like 2.8 or something like that. It's not really gonna matter. So they angled it down at 3 degrees, and their target was 710 meters underground. So if it's angled down at 3 degrees, and we gotta put it into radians, and the target was 730 kilometers away. And we can figure out that, in fact, if the Earth was horizontal, but there was just topography, the emitter would have to be 38 kilometers up in the air relative to the detector.
Great. How did they
Now, are
figure
there any
out
mountains
this?
that are 38 kilometers tall?
Yeah. So what, dude? How did they figure out?
So
it was an
what? Your
all-blade
evidence
spheroid?
it destroys my view. So what?
Yeah, the all-blade spheroid doesn't exist.
Okay,
They're
you're just
conjuring
asserting
it up
that.
within
This
their- they're
disproves the
conjuring-
existence.
they're
This disproves the
conjuring
flat
it
Earth. This
No,
disproves
it
the flat
doesn't.
Earth,
No,
right?
it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
It does.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, so
No.
if the Earth is flat, does that mean that there's a 38 kilometer tall mountain?
If the Earth is flat, no, it's
Yeah.
not. If it is.
Is there a 38 kilometer tall mountain?
Yeah, 38-kilometer tall mountain. What does that have to do with all the?
Well, because if they were
China, bro?
if they were angling their neutrino beam down at 3
what?
degrees, which they are,
Who cares?
in order
They
to hit
prove
the
that the Earth is
detector,
an all-blade spheroid. They're not.
in order to hit the detector 730 kilometers away, they would, and if the Earth was flat, they would have to be on a mountain 38 kilometers up in the air.
Sorry, the evidence here for your neutrino example doesn't show that the Earth is an all-blade spheroid in no way.
It shows
shape,
the
or
Earth
form.
isn't flat.
The people
It shows the Earth isn't flat. You're avoiding it.
The
AB,
people that were
you're
using
running.
it. Listen,
Putting on your running shoes.
I'm actually showing how you are not providing.
Stop, Blitz. He's
evidence.
already
Your
dead.
neutrino
Yeah, I know.
example- Yeah, you like to interrupt because you don't like this crescendo, and it is that
Crescendo?
your
I
neutrino
mean, like,
example
look,
doesn't
you're
prove
not even
one way or
understanding the
another.
geometry
Dude,
here.
stop over talking me.
You're refusing to engage with the evidence I'm
Are you
presenting.
gonna let me finish? Are you
Not
gonna
until you
let me
engage with the
call
evidence
mod?
that I'm presenting.
I'm
No.
gonna have to call mod on you. Okay.
Okay,
now-
call mod.
Yeah, come on, just let him finish,
Ask
please.
him to engage with the evidence then.
No. The evidence that you brought forward, the neutrino example, was not evidence of the Earth being an all-blade spheroid.
I didn't make that
because
claim.
you
I said
even
it's evidence that the Earth's not flat.
Here we go again. Dude, this is the reason why people like you get muted, because you don't let the truth come out. And the truth is, the neutrino example is no way showing that the Earth is an all-blade spheroid because they, according to you, conjured it up within their test, and then they confirmed their bias by saying, well, we've got a different angle coming out from this where we're shooting as neutrinos, so obviously the Earth is not a flat surface. So you're saying that based on the information you gathered from this information, it's nowhere showing that the Earth is an all-blade spheroid or that you know that it's not flat. It's not showing either of those. It's just your imagination, subjective interpretation that this information is showing anything relative to what your point is. But in no way did we start off saying that this example is showing that the Earth is an all-blade spheroid, which is my question to you, the premise, where we should have started with, what shows us that the Earth is an all-blade spheroid? Your neutrino example is pretty much garbage at this point. You being a PhD should have known this coming into this topic. Now,
Okay, yeah. So to be clear, my claim is that the neutrino experiment proves the Earth isn't flat, or at least is evidence that the Earth isn't flat. I don't want to use the word prove.
sorry, you don't got
So can you provide an account for how it is that the neutrinos were able to hit their detector from 730 miles away while being angled into the ground at 3 degrees on a flat Earth? Can you provide
your
an account for
neutrino
that?
argument is not providing evidence that the Earth is an all-blade spheroid. Therefore,
That wasn't my claim.
argument.
AV, that
It's a
wasn't my
bunk
claim. Why are you
argument.
misrepresenting me?
It's a bunk argument.
It wasn't my
Don't bring it
claim.
up.
Why are you misrepresenting me?
Is it going to prove that the Earth is an all-blade spheroid or not?
That wasn't my claim. Why are you misrepresenting me?
All right, so that's my whole point.
DJ, can you
My
ask
whole
him to
point-
address my claim?
My whole point, yeah, no, listen, dude. My whole point was you bringing up an example that shows that the Earth is an all-blade spheroid, and you brought the neutrino example, which is not that. You
I brought up an
basically have
so
diverted
my
away from
claim-
answering my question at the very beginning.
My claim is that the neutrino experiment shows the Earth is not flat.
No, sorry.
What do you mean,
It
no,
doesn't.
sorry? Can you address it?
It
Can you
doesn't-
explain how it
yeah.
doesn't?
Yeah, you didn't
Go ahead.
provide what is the neutrino example showing, and as far as you can tell, what is it telling everybody?
The actual experiment was conducted to, essentially try to learn more stuff about neutrinos, about neutrino mass mixing and things like that. But
What was the
the
end
setup
result?
of the
The end
experiment, the relevant part of the experiment is that they angled a neutrino beam downward into the ground at 3 degrees. And then they found that neutrino beam 730 kilometers away. And if the Earth was flat, they wouldn't have hit their target.
You can't say that because you don't know that information.
How do
You
I not
can't
know
say
that information? It was angled
Because
down
the
into the
neutrino
ground.
example, according to what you're reading from the tests that have been conducted, is in no way, shape, or form telling anybody, even all the 600 listeners that you have listening to you right now, Babylon, that
For
the
what
Earth
it's worth,
is or
I
is
have like
not an all-blade.
2,000 listeners.
That the Earth is or is not an all-blade spheroid.
It shows
So
that it's not
I
flat.
asked specifically.
Can you address
I asked
the
specifically.
claim?
Yeah, I asked specifically from you and your viewers to hopefully coax you into telling me what is a prime example of the Earth being an all-blade spheroid. Go on.
Why do you keep running away from
Go
the
on,
claim?
sir.
I'm
Go on.
sorry. I'm not going to let you
Tell
run
your
through this.
viewers how you know
I'm
the
not
Earth's
gonna
an
let you
all-blade
run through this.
spheroid.
I'm not going to let you
No,
run through
I'm
this.
not. I'm pointing out the
Why
fact
are you
that you
running?
are scared.
Why are you
You're
running?
trembling in your
Is that-
PhD
why are
shoes
you
right
running?
now. You're trembling in your PhD shoes. You don't want to tell me how.
Why
the
are you
Earth is
running
an
from
all-blade
this? Why are
spheroid.
you running
Tell me
from
how
this
the Earth's
proof
an
that
all-blade
the Earth isn't
spheroid.
flat?
I'm not going to move from this point, PhD.
Okay, then I guess that we're done here.
No, we're not done here. You're running.
You can't
You
engage
run.
with my claim.
Run, boy. Run, PhD.
You can't
run
engage
back
with
to your
my
little
claim.
cave because you can't answer how the Earth's an all-blade spheroid.
Why can't you engage with my claim?
Stunned
My
into
claim-
silence?
No,
I
was
know
just,
that.
taking
I'm pretty sure your
breather.
listeners are listening to you silent now because you never had evidence that the Earth is
Why
an
can't you
oblate
engage with my
spheroid,
claim?
even at the beginning.
DJ, you have to understand
Aw.
that I've clarified what my claim is, and AV just refuses to engage with it.
You never had intentions. You never had intentions.
We're gonna, one second, AV. Sorry. All right. So your evidence has been the neutrinos experiment. Okay. You're asking AV to. AV saying it's not valid, right? And you're asking AV to
he's
present.
not engaging with the claim. My claim is that the neutrino
why is it not invalid?
My claim is that
I get it.
Yeah, why does it not show the Earth is not flat? What is wrong with this piece of data?
No.
That's my
that
claim.
wasn't what I asked.
My claim.
He's running.
I don't care what you're asking. I'm presenting a claim, and you're misrepresenting me.
Blitz, I said the premise. The premise was
you said the premise.
evidence.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
did you? Did you?
I did. I did.
Form this
Dude, listen
event?
to me. I said. I don't. Dude, I don't care. You're not the princess of England, dude. You're not. You're just another guest on a show, and your thousands of listeners are going to hear you not provide evidence that the Earth is a globe right now.
So to be clear, the neutrino beam experiment is evidence, but it's evidence that the Earth is a globe. It's proof that the Earth is not flat.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Go ahead and tell us how. Go ahead and show us how the Earth is a globe using that.
Yeah. So
you just finished saying you went on a long rant saying that it's not evidence that the Earth is a globe.
It is evidence. It's not definitive evidence, but it is evidence. It's definitive evidence that the Earth is not flat, though. Just to be clear.
No,
so,
you just said
to
it's
be
not
clear,
definitive that
and
the Earth is
I'll
a
lay
globe.
out exactly what I mean. So it is definitive evidence that the Earth isn't flat, because if the Earth was flat, we wouldn't be able to detect these neutrinos. We do detect the neutrinos, therefore the Earth isn't flat. However, it's only you might call it circumstantial evidence that the Earth is a globe, because it is what we would expect to happen if the Earth were a globe. Now, this is deductively evidence. This is deductive, definitive evidence that the Earth isn't flat. It is inductive evidence that the Earth is a globe. Now, would you like to engage with the claim that it's deductively the case that if the Earth were flat, we would not have detected the neutrinos? We did detect the neutrinos, therefore the Earth is not flat. Please engage.
Yeah, it's your confirmation bias. That's what the engagement I'm going to give you. You just believe it to be a globe, and it's not flat.
I'm talking about the flat Earth. I'm talking about the shape, the flat Earth, not the
the shape of the flat Earth. Yeah, you keep
engage
going on to that because you think
DJ, he's not able to engage with it.
Yeah,
this is
you think that the proof? Do you think the burden of proof is squarely on my shoulders? No, sir. You
I
didn't
presented
provide any
evidence.
substantial.
You're saying the evidence is false. So
listen, this
provide
engagement.
evidence.
Yeah, this engagement was supposed to be you providing, as a PhD, you providing evidence to the world that the Earth is a globe. You can't do that. Even if you tried your hardest, even if you went back to your books and you're learning, you cannot provide evidence that the Earth is a globe. This is the worst case for you right now. I want everybody to see how you are backing away from showing how the Earth is an actual globe.
This is
the best you can come up with is just statistics. That's it.
Statistics is how we do science. You know that, right?
So no evidence that the Earth is an actual globe.
This is evidence, by the way.
Oh, I think it's a 50% probability the Earth is a globe. That's what I think.
So this is evidence. You know that, yeah?
Yeah.
Are you aware? It's strong deductive evidence against the Earth being flat, and it's strong inductive evidence for the Earth being a globe.
Yeah. So obviously not proving that the Earth is a globe.
Yeah,
So
we were talking about evidence. Why are you doing a mock Bailey with regards to evidence and proof?
When you show what evidence is, the court will examine what it is, and then we can toss it out as not being evidence based on your lack of or inability to provide evidence. Yeah, everyone listening.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right now.
I can assure you that people are more in favor of what I'm saying than what you're saying.
That's great because they have a confirmation bias like you do. So many people want to believe so
they have
badly.
A confirmation bias like you do.
They want to close their eyes and want to believe, tomorrow that the Earth is going to be a round globe like they always thought it was, that they were believed it to be. And so all you're doing is soothing that they're there, poor little globers. I got this. I'll give you more confirmation bias to believe that it is without showing any evidence that it's an actual globe.
Can you explain why the neutrino experiment? Oh, he's not going to engage. So you're not. So to be clear, just to be super clear, you're not going to explain how the neutrino experiment is evidence against the flat Earth. You're not going to explain that.
Yeah. Because you said that it's not evidence.
Okay, DJ, you heard it here first. He's refusing to engage.
We're not going to listen to your fast talking. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to listen to you not be able to tell us how the Earth is a globe using your neutrino example, because it's not one using that. You know it. In your heart of hearts, you've been using an example.
In your heart of hearts, you know that you're lying to yourself, baby. You know that there's no evidence the Earth is flat. In your heart of hearts, the neutrinos, they're polling you. The neutrinos are polling you, but you can't say the Earth is a globe on a live stream because then all of your friends will abandon you. You'll lose the only support system that you have. You'll go back to living. You'll have to go back to living with your grandma in the basement.
Oh, is that all you got?
Yeah, let's not go into that territory. Perhaps AV would like to present some counter evidence for the flat Earth side, right? That goes against what you've just presented.
DJ, I'd be happy for him to do that as long as he says, "Yeah, I'm not going to say why your evidence is bad."
Well, let's just put it out this way. Before I engage with him, I want the world to know that he never, not once, provided substantial evidence that the Earth is an oblate spheroid in any way. He never demonstrated to the audience that's listening to him right now, using the neutrino example that he thought was his championing evidence that the Earth was going to be a globe or not flat in some way. But all he has right now, he's relying on, is this information that he looked at and just said,
"Why did we move the goalposts? Why did we move the goalposts? You said you changed it from evidence to substantial evidence."
Yeah, that was the position.
Okay, what is the requirement for evidence to be substantial?
Yeah, you're going to have to provide some sort of.
What is the standard? I'm asking what the standard is.
I'm trying to tell you. Shut your big cake hole so I can say it. So what it is people testing in the field how to know or not whether or not the Earth is what they're thinking that it is. So all your listeners out there that are listening to you yammer on, there's nothing that you've given them so that they can do, so they can verify and test that the Earth is an actual globe like they think it is. You haven't done that for any of them.
So substantial evidence is evidence that any random person can replicate. Is that your claim?
Obviously.
Oh, that seems pretty subjective. I don't think that you could replicate. I don't think that you could replicate most experiments, but that doesn't mean that those experiments don't happen. Those experiments aren't real.
Yeah,
for example, would you know how to replicate the photoelectric effect?
You didn't provide evidence that the Earth is a globe.
Well, I mean, you just moved the goalpost. Your standards just went through the roof. You're like, it only counts as substantial evidence if literally every single dumb person can do it.
Oh, so now your listeners are dumb people?
No, I'm talking about you.
I want to see you give them a super chat for that, y'all.
I'm talking about you.
You must love this guy. He's calling you stupid. Wow.
So AV, to be clear, do you agree that you've moved the goalpost?
No, the standard has always been providing evidence.
Oh, you never said the word sufficient before that.
Is an actual globe. You just finished demeaning all of your listening audience.
To be fair, I was addressing you.
You snub your nose so high up above everybody, and I'm ashamed of you, man, being who you are. You should be ashamed of yourself for what you just said. You should apologize to your listeners for what you said.
AV, so to be clear, do you understand that you changed your claim? That first I wasn't providing any evidence. Now I'm not providing sufficient evidence.
No,
do you agree that you changed that?
Your evidence is lackluster. It's not evidence that.
So you agree that you did change that then, yeah?
No. Your evidence
wait, DJ, can you play back the clip? Actually, I can play back the clip. I'm going to play back the clip really quick.
Yep. Play it back. Also play back the part you thought your whole audience is not able to understand anything. They're dumb.
Oh, you can't hear the clip. Maybe I can feed it through to Discord. Because I can hear it and my audience can hear it. I don't know if you can.
That's great. You just finished calling all your audience dumb, so how are they going to interpret that? You should be ashamed of yourself, bro.
AV, I was calling you dumb.
No, you called everybody who doesn't understand dumb.
My audience understands.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, they do.
Did you test? What's a metric that you tested all your audience is understanding everything you're saying?
Comments.
It's a metric. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then
my audience understands.
Yeah,
in fact, you can go read them right now. They're saying, yes, we do understand. Yes, yes, we do. Yes, we understand. Yes, we understand. Yup, I understand. Yeah, we do. Yeah, they understand. I'm seeing hundreds of comments saying, yes, we understand. So yeah, they do understand. I'm not calling them dumb. I'm calling you dumb, AV.
Anyway, so there has been no standard of evidence for providing the Earth.
No standard of evidence? You're right. You haven't offered a standard of evidence.
No, I'm talking about you. I'm talking about you.
A standard of evidence is a schema by which you use to evaluate the quality of evidence.
Great. So what did you do that for the all-blade spheroid?
Provide a schema? Yeah, if you can provide quantitative data.
Me? No, you.
I mean people in general. If someone can provide quantitative data that reinforces a prediction made by a particular model, that is sufficient evidence in my view.
Yeah. So a model is sufficient.
Nope, that's not what I said.
Yeah,
do you have hearing loss? Because if you did, I would understand.
You said a model. You said model. Not the word you used.
I really hope this isn't the flat Earth. This isn't the second best the flat Earthers have to do. I said model in a whole sentence. I said model in an entire sentence. The standard of evidence, the schema that I'm providing, the way by which I judge whether evidence is good or not, is I examine if there is quantitative evidence that is in agreement with predictions made by a model. Then that quantitative evidence, that quantitative data is evidence. Or if it's in disagreement with the model.
Let's play that back.
No, the data is the evidence. Whether it's in agreement with the model or not depends.
You said based on a model.
You have a really hard time understanding, don't you?
Yeah, you said based on a model. That's what I heard.
Oh, well then you heard wrong. I'll say it one more time.
Oh, I heard wrong. You didn't say model, based on a model?
I said model. I didn't say based on a model.
Oh, you did.
No, I didn't. I'll say it again.
For your audience. Yeah, play it back for your audience.
Okay. Can you shut up for a second so then they can't hear you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm playing it back, AV. You gotta shut up for a sec. Did you hear that?
Nobody on this side can hear it.
Okay, so I'll just repeat it back. If the data is if the data agrees with predictions made by a model, not based on a model, made by a model.
Oh God, that's different.
It is. It's very different. Yeah, it's not based on a model. The data is not based on a model. The data is the data. The data will either agree or not agree with predictions made by a model.
So is the model correct?
If the data agrees with it, that's evidence for the model. Yeah.
What data?
Any data whenever you're doing a scientific analysis, right?
I thought we weren't.
So in this case, the data is the angle at which the neutrino beam is shot into the ground.
Your neutrino example again?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's data. That's the data here.
Yeah, which you said doesn't provide evidence that the Earth is an.
No, it does provide evidence. It provides inductive evidence. It doesn't provide deductive evidence, but it does provide inductive evidence.
No deductive, but inductive.
Yep.
Oh,
do you understand the distinction?
Yeah, I do. It's bad.
Okay, can you tell me? Actually, just so I can verify, can you tell me what the distinction is?
So
can you tell me what the distinction is? I'm sorry.
Now what we're doing is
no, hold on. We're not. To be clear, we're not moving on from this. To be clear, we're not moving on from this. Tell me the difference between inductive and deductive. No, we're not.
No, we're moving on from this.
Inductive or deductive? Define those terms. Tell me the difference, please.
Yeah, we have not provided evidence that the Earth is an oblate spheroid based on a PhD.
DJ, he's running again. I asked him a very specific question.
Now listen to what I have to tell you, bro. This is important, right? This is important. You
haven't answered like any questions, by the way. DJ, can you think of a single question that he's answered?
Yeah, hold on a second, bro.
No, I'm not holding on. I'm appealing to the moderator. DJ, can you think of a single question that he's answered?
Yeah, the one that you were asking about tides.
Yeah, what question did you answer?
If tides were real or not. You said you were making a false claim.
You're right. I'm sorry, DJ. He answered one question.
Yeah, well, there you go. So see how
he hasn't engaged with anything else I've talked about.
Are you a liar?
No, I was mistaken. You answered one question. Absolutely. You answered one question. You're right. You've answered one question amongst 100.
All right. But I think the time here is already spent for you. And unless anybody else wants to come up and chat with this guy.
DJ, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Can you ask him to answer my question?
No.
Because he hasn't really answered any of my questions. Like
no,
he answered one
because,
like an hour ago.
Because we started with, it must have been, what time is it now? Oh,
it's almost noon.
Going on, what is it, an hour and a half?
Mm-hmm. Can you ask him to answer my question? Or just admit that he won't?
From Indio to me, you haven't anyway, produced any information that the Earth is an actual blade spheroid.
I did.
None whatsoever.
But can you answer the question, please?
No.
DJ, can you get him to answer the question,
he can't force
please?
me to say anything. He can ask me, but he can't force me. I'm not going to be forced into saying something.
DJ, will you ask me to answer the question?
Unlike you, I'm not like a beta boy. They can ask me. Yeah, that's fine.
DJ, will you ask me to answer the question?
Oh my God.
He can hear your question. I don't need to ask him, right? He can hear it.
Well, can you do your job as a moderator and direct the conversation so that he actually can answer the question?
No, you ain't gonna do that, bro. Settle down.
Because like he's refused to answer basically any questions that I've asked. He answered one question about the times like an hour ago.
I already told you any question. I've already answered a few.
I said basically any question. It was like an hour ago. You haven't answered any questions since.
You're just being dishonest to your whole listening audience.
Okay. Okay, AB. Are you satisfied with your conversation? Do you think that you've looked good in this conversation?
Yes, I do.
Okay, we will let the YouTube comments decide.
I don't, dude. They believe in their hearts what you think is.
Dude, you're a trip, bro.
I mean, look, if you think you looked good, like I can't fight that level of delusion.
Do you see what's happening here? You're always projecting and asking other people. You never reflect on your own self. You never look in the mirror and say, what have I done in this conversation? Which you have not provided evidence that the Earth is an all-blade spheroid by any empirical means. You haven't done that.
I've done really well, actually. Like, I've presented evidence. I've presented premises. I've presented deductive reasoning. I've provided explanations when you asked. I even did the analysis that Indio asked me to do like 2 hours ago, where I flipped the thing and then he overlaid. Like, I actually did that live stream. And if he was right, I would have been like, damn, you're right. I actually like honestly engaged and I answered questions that were asked of me. You've avoided like all but maybe one or two. So I don't know. If you think you look good, then you should probably go like.
It's not about looking good, bro. It's about being honest with yourself. It's about being honest with yourself.
You weren't honest.
You're not being honest with yourself. You're not telling your audience that you don't know that the Earth is a globe or not.
So I gotta go. But thank you for having me. I don't know if we'll do this again unless we can get better moderation. I don't know if we'll do this again because like I couldn't get any of my questions answered. And that's
you did. Stop lying. You already conceded that you did. Why would you lie again?
I was being hyperbolic. But thanks for having me. I do appreciate you guys. Everybody who's listening, take care.
Oh, sure.
All right, y'all. So that was an interesting conversation. Yeah, the mod was... I don't know if the mod was asleep, but I'm not doing that again unless I have a neutral mod, because that was really, really bad. And I mean, the mod is a flat earther. Like, definitely. I've had flat earthers be mods who are good. Jeranism used to be a flat earther, and Jeranism has moderated debates before, and he's really, really unbiased and objective. DJ didn't do a good job. And I'm sorry, DJ, you seem like a lovely person, but you were definitely biased. You were definitely, I don't know if you're watching this, you're definitely biased. And you didn't do your job. You didn't, like, I was trying to be good faith and answer questions when asked. As a moderator, your job is to make them answer questions when asked. That is the job. I don't even think he was paying attention at the time. But y'all, I should read super chats before I go. We did get a lot of super chats, so thank you guys for being so generous. So from Neck2, we got $2. Can you boost your mic, Blitz? I did.
French fries, what's up?
What's up?
Hey, dude, what's going on?
Nothing. You know, I haven't done any research.
That's good. No, don't do any research. Just do whatever you feel like it. Don't. If someone says, look up this, or you got to understand that. If you don't get it, just don't worry about it. Just stick with whatever interests you. You know. So I was interested in